I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is OLAVEORAWO and we have Factory Reset. I was alone last week, but sasa pole. Now we have guests and I'm so excited. We have resident. Tuko na resident co-host.
Hello.
Experiencer of experiences. And also my friend Mercy. We were roommates. I keep forgetting where I met you, but I feel like every time I remember, I'm like, we were roommates. We were roommates in campus. Yeah. But karibuni sana.
Thank you.
I'll give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves as you'd like to be known. I can start with you. Mercy. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Mercy Riziki Erambo. I have many names, but what else do you need?
Whichever way you want to be known as.
Okay.
Hata hiyo inaweza kuwa imetosha kama unataka.
Mercy Riziki Erambo, mom of one boy working in corporate.
Oh, yours is corporate. I always felt like yours is not corporate-ish.
Or semi-corporate.
Semi-corporate.
Yeah. I do events, yes.
Okay. Nice. And
resident host. I'm Mercy or Mercy and Ciru, whichever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yes, resident hosts. And
thank you. Asanteni sana for coming. Thank you so much. This is one topic that I know could be an extreme sport. So I'm really grateful that you came to help me discuss it. And we'll be talking about, I don't even know how to phrase it, but rather, what are some of the things that parents do or have done that we look back now and we realize this could have been a mental issue now that we know we have information. And also these were some of them were toxic traits. Some of them have given us trauma up until now. Even us right now, we are parents. What are some of the things that we should be keen about? So that's the conversation we're having today. And as usual, I usually put out prompts on my social media so that people can send in their opinions and their stories. And that gives us basically our talking points. Because nikikwambia tu sahi, anza story yako, you won't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So we have triggers. So I'm going to read some of the prompts that I got, and then it just flows into a discussion and a conversation. If you feel triggered, if you feel like you have an opinion, then just let me know. So the question I asked on socials was, what has a parent done that you now realize they might have not been mentally okay? And the first person here says, let me get it. Say bitter words to us and herself. I generally think a lot of our moms were very bitter. Generally.
They were, because I feel like they married very young. They did not understand the scope of marriage and family and the burden and everything that it comes with. And when they were growing up, everything for them was the end goal is marriage and family and kids. So the way we usually say we don't understand how our moms used to go to work and then they come home, bath you, cook for you, make sure you're okay. If we can't even get home from work and make a meal for ourselves.
Yeah.
So it could have been coming from all that bitterness, and then probably the husband has done something. Namenda kaambiwa, as a wife, unafaa kutulia. You're the pillar of this family.
Pillar of strength.
Pillar of strength. So with all that pain,
yes,
heartache, with the husband, work, and then anakuja nyumbani ako, fuck it, watoto.
And I'm imagining they didn't have options. I can bet that most of our mothers had to be stay-at-home parents. Furthering your education was not an option. Getting jobs was not an option. And people then just didn't know anything. Women were completely reliant on men. And me, sometimes I look at even some of aunties, or even I look at older women, and I can tell if they lived at our time, they'd have been child-free.
Yeah.
If because
they had that option of
kuna resentment fulani yenye they just got there because there was no other way to live at that time. But yeah, so the bitter words. Yeah.
Alikuandikia?
No, she didn't.
words.
No, she didn't say. She just said saying bitter words to us and herself. So she would say things about herself as well that were bitter.
So for me, I wouldn't really call it my own experience, but a friend. So we were having a conversation and she's like, looking back, I think my mom was stressed because like there are times she would beat them with no reason. Mefika tu home ni God.
Yeah.
Now in retrospect, she thinks she would be stressed out by their dad and the in-laws, and then she would just take it out on them. Yeah. So them as kids, they didn't really know, why is mom so angry? You even now start feeling sorry for your mom, like, okay, mom, I don't know what I did. You're like, you're nervous and you honestly can't place your head. Nilifanya nini?
Yeah.
So right now is when like she's also now in like married and she feels stressed out. And there's a time she took it out on her kid, and that brought about that conversation like, oh my God, I think my mom was going through something. So at least for her, she was able to take therapy. But now that time, my mom didn't have that option.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
one thing I like about, it's bittersweet. The trauma that we've gotten from our parents makes us better parents. In that, like, for myself, you said something where alikuwa anatolea mtoto hasira. I think we've all been in that situation. And then you realize, oh shit, I'm behaving like so and so. Like I need to be a better parent to this child. And that's why we keep saying, like, our children right now, the Gen Alphas, they'll be so powerful. They'll be a better version of all of us and everything that we've gone through. Because because of your experience and if you're a smart person, you're not gonna take it. You'll make sure that you won't carry it forward. You're gonna break it. Yeah.
And I think right now we're also more conscious of the things that we do. Like when you do something, like if I take it out on my son, like from work, I've been stressed out about something. When I'm angry and I talk to him in an angry way, like I can say, oh my God, I am projecting words.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do this. If I need space from him or something, I'll do something, like take a break. But I think our parents didn't even know that, or like they're not conscious. I'm doing this as a result of something else.
Hey, umesema tusingilie wazazi. But me, my parents, I feel like they knew. Like they knew to some extent.
They know,
It's just that they do not have their ego will be too much for them to even accept it. And for them
there was also the issue of ego. Parents were right.
I'm sorry by their parents.
Never.
In what continent?
Are you mad? I'm sorry.
I tell my daughter sorry every time. You know, when I separated from her dad, I got very bitter. I won't say when it's bitterness. Bitterness is a bad word in a way. I was very angry. I was angry at this man. I'm angry at the situation he's put me through because I have to start life afresh. And I'm thinking, niko na mtoto, ungeenda kwa baba yako. So ikafika mahali I was removing stress on her, and I will chapa her and she'll be like, hey, mommy, she will come later and tell mommy ulinichapa because of this, and I will feel really bad. I will sit down and realize I really messed her up. So I had to go for parenting classes when she was 4 years. I had to go for parenting classes, and one thing tuliambiwa, mwiko, the hand is for loving.
It's all the same thing.
Don't beat your child with your hand. The hand is for loving. Yes.
Like use a cane. If you have to beat them,
Don't
use a
you?
cane.
Chukua mwiko slippers.
Something that's not your hand, and later hug them with those hands and say, I beat you because you
of
did
1,
this
2, 3
and
things.
this.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I
wow.
do. I think you've also heard me telling Amara when she says, Mami umenchapa na mwambia, haya, what did you do? You did this. Okay. Did you do well? No. Have I told you not to do this before? Yes. How many times? Many. So that is why we chapa. And you know our parents used to beat us in the sense, na yo hasira. So
There
ni
was
mali penye
hasira,
tu itasimama, penye tu itagonga. Hapo ndo, kwenye tu ina land kondo kotu unaumizwa. But right now, I'm very cautious about chapaing her anywhere. You don't chapa your child just anywhere. Mchape atakama ni mkono
like
ama
decent
ama bamba.
places.
It's like a hot slap.
No, yeah. So hizo traumas zimetusaidia in the sense that we are cautious.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that I went for that parenting class.
Watu don't beat your children.
Hatuwachapangi
Ngojeni kidogo.
I think something on a positive note in terms of like experiences. For me, I feel my mom, God rest her soul, the bitterness she went through while she was younger, now she tried to like protect me from it. So she would tell me, do you know, for me, I had to be waking up at like 4 a.m. You go milk the cows. So her parents were living in Uganda. She was in Kenya, so she was living with a relative. So this relative really pampered her kids against my mom. So she was like, it's like you're the maid of the house. You have to do everything. So she would be like, I don't want you to go through the same thing. So it almost turned into an overprotection or something. So I don't know if it's something good or bad, but she would be like, no, like I don't want you to go through the same thing. So I'm like protecting her. She took her bitterness and tried to protect me from like the same life or
And also it depends on, I guess, humans, who you are as a human being. Because you see, the same way there are people who have traumas and then they want to break their cycle. There are people who have traumas and want other people to suffer like them.
Hurt people.
No, it's not all hurt people.
Some hurt
even
people
us,
want
we are
to
hurt,
heal.
and we want to heal and make other people
better,
experience better. But there are people who are not intentional about
healing,
letting go of their heart and giving other people. Kuna watu what I went through. And actually, on this very same point, you've had the point that you've had this people saying a lot of girls, their first bully was their mother. And a lot of the relationship issues we struggle with as girls are not so much our daddy issues. It's the maternal complication, the maternal connection, the complication we had with that. So I remember when ilikuwa kwa podcast ya Jules, when one of the people came in and said, because when her mom was very angry, there are things she'd do and then get beaten. That's fine. But then when her mom she's done a mistake and her mom is beyond angry, she'd give her the silent treatment.
Are you for real?
And it was so horrible. And that's why in her adult age, when her boyfriend didn't answer her call, she called Sijui 50 times. So
she's afraid of the silent treatment.
Because the silent treatment is the worst thing in her life.
Yeah.
So there's also that, but also we are looking at the sense that our parents might not have known any better, but I can elewa when they say, when they called, you've been called a prostitute by your mom first. You've been, and then when she says her mom says things about herself that are bitter as well, it's just like, simniwe, ama mimi mjinga, meniona sijui aje. Yes, it's so much. They've gone through the most. We are sending love to them. Someone else said, everything my mother was, wait, my lord, everything my mother was and still isn't, anything my mother was and still isn't okay. Yo, nampenda though from a distance. So what her mother was and still is. So now I guess that relationship is just alisema tu, I love you from over here.
Yeah.
Bean, malizia hiyo box. Okay, Zingine, please give me full thoughts.
Ukiona ni refu sana enda kwa DM.
Ni DM akinapataga DMs.
Ati amesema nini yo short?
Okay, let me read the question.
Eh.
What has a parent done that you now realize they might not have been mentally okay? And then this person said, Bean. I'm trying, guy. Jesu. Ati Bean, question mark. Malizia hiyo box.
Bado yuko. Bado wako kwa hiyo element.
It's like, yeah.
It's not past tense for them. They're still in the present where the mother is still, or more or less the parent is still doing certain
the things they're doing.
Yeah.
Tunasema Bean.
Bado
Now,
living it now.
Okay.
It's so, even the other person who's commented, the one who was saying no,
Everything my mother was and still isn't
is,
okay.
it means that they are still, and that's why I keep saying, I feel like parents, our parents, baby boomers, they are aware of what they do. Because even in this day and age where mental health is such a huge discussion openly, they still don't want to accept their mistakes. I called out my parent the other day, and I was talking about it in the previous podcast. And right now I've been cut off, and he said some very bitter things because of saying the truth. They cannot accept the truth because of their ego. Yes.
But it's
Ideally, they're supposed to ask, is that how you feel about me? Is that like what you feel I put you through? How can I make it better now? Like,
but you know, they ask from a very
a bitter,
demeaning point of view. It's just like, is that what you think of me, Olive? You think I'm selfish? You think I'm...
They will rather...
Why are you attacking? Why are you attacking me? Yes.
Yes.
It feels like you are selfish.
They will rather go blind and apologize and accept what they
messed
did.
up at some point.
Yeah.
Hey, my lord. Higher. Another response was, not me, but a friend whose father kept bringing women home. Now he really never cared for them. I guess the children. Is that mental or common sense?
That's common sense.
You know me, I find myself struggling to extend empathy to men. Because some things...
So now, because of his lack of common sense, he brought mental issues on his kids.
To the children, yeah. Because why are women in and out of a house where your children are?
So
in fact, strangers. Why are strangers?
So he's a single parent, I would assume.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I know of an experience of a lady. Okay, I don't really want to say how she was or is related to me, but she used to tell me like her mom now would bring different men to their home.
Oh, that one is another one.
Mom.
That's another
To the point
one.
that after growing up, she had no value for herself. Like, I literally tried to. I was struggling to make her feel like she's worthy. Because she was like, the mom eventually passed on of HIV. And she feels she brought it upon herself. Because, like, sometimes they lived in like a small house. And she could hear all the noises. She was like, yeah. So she also got pregnant early, and then now society was like, uko tu kama mama yako, and so like she was already branded at that point. So she would see me bond with my kid, and she's like, na si unapenda mtoto wako sana. Mimi, like, it's like she's trying to communicate she does not love her kid. She didn't get her kid out of love. Yeah, and because she was already branded like watu walijua mama yake tabia zake, so ashaingizwa hapo even before so she got her kid at like 16, or she was a teenager. So she feels like, anyway, the world already knows who I am, so
like her fate is already set as well, and
she would actually openly tell me, you know, sometimes you tell me things and I don't get you. I'm thick. You know, I'm thick. Just like my mom, and I would feel so bad for her. Like her mom damaged her.
That was damage.
As a single parent and a mother, there's a time a friend of mine, I reached out to a friend. I wasn't okay because I was going through it in a relationship. And there's something that friend of mine told me, and she was like, never cry in front of your kid when it comes to such things. Be very careful to protect your child from your heart you're going through, because your child, as they're growing up, it's not that at that point they're picking it up, but as they grow up, it's already been
their subconscious.
It's already in them, so they will end up picking people who are not worthy of them, and they will keep thinking that no one will love me, or they are not worthy enough of love, and that will affect their relationships. So protect similar to your friend.
Protect your children at all cost. And there's something I don't know if you were with us yesterday when we were laughing and saying you're busy doing the best for your child, and there's someone neglecting theirs. But you see, this is someone now who'll have your child will have to deal with in the same spaces. Yeah. So we need this to be everyone to do their part,
to do their work,
because there's no point of having one healed community and then they have to deal with the others. Man, life has so many dynamics.
It does.
So someone else said, my mom used to threaten us with death. All mistakes were met with niwe, idwa nega, inega. That's Luo for you want to kill me. Muniwe basi.
What?
Yeah, your death, we all know it. We all know it too well. And I remember for me, there's a time. Freeze.
Iyo ni deep.
For me, I remember my mom used to say it so much. She was just like, if I drop dead right now, what if I drop dead? What will your lives look like? What if I drop dead? Like, do this and do that. Yeah. So I remember the first time that I felt, I don't know how I'd say it, I really questioned myself as a human being, is when she said it and I didn't feel anything. I'd grown insensitive to the death threat.
Because there were too many.
Because nilisikia primo, nikaisikia high school, nimemaliza campus. So I was just like, this guilt tripping, this method doesn't work on me anymore. And for me, it was, I didn't even throw the blame on her. For me, it was first, am I a horrible person for not feeling a certain way about my mother's threat of death? Yes. Am I detached so much that I don't care if she dies? But in real sense, it's not the same thing. So many times. See it in mgonjwa and I'm being insensitive. It's just that it's a threat. It's a threat you're making while you're healthy, you're living, you're alive, you're standing on your 2 feet. But I grew insensitive to it over time. And me, I still don't know how to feel about it. I just feel like right now you can't threaten me with your own death. Because I remember there's even a point where a guy told me, I wasn't even dating that man. Hey, my lord. Hata hakuwa kwa nyumba yangu. Wachana na huyo. This was kitambo. This was high school. And then this guy is calling me. He's like, Ati, Olive, you've refused to be with me. I'm killing myself. Aki, imagine I called the sister. I told the sister, can you watch for your brother? He said he's killing himself. Aki, someone take me back with the knowledge I have now. Ningeacha kijana afanye vile anataka.
Endo ujue, nitakutabazisha na nikule pilao. Inakwanga pilao mama ukimo uko kwenye.
Mchele imeshikana. Nimemiss. Nonsense. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about death threats considering your moms are not even here.
Mimi, it's my dad. Unashinanga umenita podcast.
Wewe baba ametupea content hivi. Mtaratara.
Hey, my dad used to mix poison in front of me.
No. What?
Yes.
As a threat that
he's going to kill himself because I've done something and it's sasa tuanze wapi. Hey, Hey, where do we start? Okay. So when my mom passed away, my dad remarried. When he remarried, first of all, tuanze na, when my mom passed away, my dad lost it. He was a zombie in his bed that the following day when people were coming. I hadn't seen him. I'd gone to my mom's friend. So when I came back home, he was just in his bed. Ukimwongelesha is just staring into space. Yeah, he lost it. When I say that he lost it, also it's because he's not. If you see him for who he was, kitambo, dressing, nini, kila kitu, and right now, two completely different people. And now I think that brought out his mental illness. So the other day I was telling Olive, I feel like my dad had his
Schizophrenia.
Tumeamua tutadiagnose watu kwa hii podcast.
You tunamdiagnose. Tuwezi kubali hata kwenda kuona mental health specialist.
Yeah.
Tumemlove from afar. So this man, when he remarried someone who's from a very wealthy family that's very well known. And these people had promised him things. But he will get to, but I keep saying that it could be
Schizophrenia.
because there's a time alienda mahali kwa barabara atiana amepromisiwa gari. So I feel like he used to create this
In his mind.
yeah, so at some point he even said that I am being that we are being watched, that they've put cameras in our house.
That must have been scary for you as a kid.
Yeah, so he will come, so anything I will do, he will threaten me with death because I'm spoiling the relationship for him and they can see us. They are watching us. So he will take rat poison, akoroge, and tell me that I have to go to that woman's house because ilifika mahali everyone was living separately. Nikimbie, but they were still together. Nikimbie kwa huyo mwanamke na ni apologize before he kills himself. I remember a certain day he said that I've gone to do orgies that he was told, and I'd just gone to see a friend of his. And when I came to him, he's saying ati ameambiwa na the parents, his in-laws, ati they were watching us. There's someone mwenye anani alinifuata.
How old were you?
I was in form 3.
So there's someone who just left the house and decided to follow a 16-year-old
Yes.
and watch her having an orgy and then come and report.
Wamenifuata. Nimeenda orgy, and I'd gone to see his friend who was a lady friend who was a former neighbor of ours, and now she became my friend, and she was a young mama our age right now. So coming back home naambiwa nimekuwa nikionekana nikikunywa pitu na nimekuwa na huyo mtu alinifuata, that nimeenda kufanya orgies. I'm embarrassing him and we are being watched again. They've put cameras in our house. So that day was war. Nilipigwa vibaya sana, like really, really badly. It was, he slept with a knife in his bed. I couldn't sleep that night. Even when trying, I remember at some point I was trying to tell the neighbors, because I tried to. One thing is I had to fake names of people I've slept with. I had to fake names ndo aniache because alikuwa ananigonga na chuma kwa kichwa and my legs. So I had to jikaza ni fake names ndo niweze kutoroka.
Because he wants a name out of you by force.
Yes, yeah. So I wrote people, just hizi majina tu za watu umesoma now, every male name that unajua unaiandika. Tried to run away. He tore my clothes, went to the neighbors, stuck naked, begging them to to save me from this man. This man says that he's going to throw me from the 8th, from, I don't know, it was the 10th floor. And he doesn't care. He's now causing a sin.
Hey.
So I go back to the house, because no one wants to ingilia mambo za watu wengine. He sleeps with a knife, saying that he's gonna kill me at night. So I couldn't sleep. Me, the first nini nilisikia. The first horn ya gari nilisikia ikipiga honi. I was up, took the keys really fast, locked him in the house, and ran away to my friend, to his friend when nilikuwa naye the previous day. Now while there, this man calls her because he knew that's the only place I will go to. And he says that if I don't go back to that house, he's going to kill himself. Ametengeneza rat and rat, iko kwa kikombe, and if I'm not back in that house within 30 minutes, he's going to kill himself. So Mimi, because of being guilty tripped, and he's the only parent I have at that moment, at this time I'm not thinking what he did to me. I'm thinking this is the only parent I have. Yeah. I rush back home. I can see the poison. Ameishika hivi. Amekaa. Akaniambia nisipokimbia kwa huyo bibi yake and apologize, he's going to kill himself. Hata ikunywa. So now again I have to rush because apparently I'm embarrassing him, and these things have been promised. We are being watched, and these things that I've promised him, he's been promised by these people, hata pata, that I don't want him to succeed in life. So we rushed to, I kimbia to that woman's house. It was like a distance. I go there, beg her, huyo ni mwingine pia na mental issues zake, and then she calls my dad. Kwanza I remember that lady telling me, hata mimi babangu alikufa, so si akunywe poison. So mi niko hapo nikimbeg, please call him. Nilifanya so nika beg, niko hapa, what did you do? So I have to fake the story. Mimi namwambia alisema that your parents saw me, someone followed me. Even her, she looks confused in this whole story. Yes. So my father comes, ana akapigia babangu simu akamwongelesha vizuri, sijui nini, sijui wewe nakupenda kuja. Akaenda. Me, I remember mentioning what I was told. My father looked at me as if I've gone mad.
No.
Yes.
Who said those things?
Who, me? Auntie, what?
Uko ready kumdiagnose na schizophrenia?
We are being followed by who? Why are you lying? Na niliambiwa na mama wa nini wa soko. Huh? I was shocked. Yeah.
Even schizophrenic people are offended. No way. No way.
Schizophrenic people will deny him.
I said this one is not ours.
Yeah, so he used to do that a lot with and then he would have those bouts of we are being watched, and still those threats as Jaisha, because I remember there's a time he said juicy too, ati, and if I die and I go to my grave, I will be rolling sijui in my grave, sijui ukifanya nini. I was like, at that point I was like, nigga, please.
You grow desensitized to it.
I do not care. In fact, please die.
When Andrew Kibe says, patane sayuni.
Tutapatana huko. Ende huko. Have you seen you really your bills? Pigwa. Tell me sure that will be my mom. Unafanya nini hapa? Kuja hapa.
Hey, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think what as children we are struggling with now, and of course me, I'm speaking from a point of privilege, is it's okay for you now to cut those ties. It's okay to realize even if you realize they did have a mental condition that probably has gone undiagnosed, they're not willing to work on it. It's okay for you to detach, remove yourself from that space. It's okay for you to end that relationship, because now your mental health is at stake. In this case, Ciru has a child.
So it will again,
there's collateral damage if you want to continue pulling this
to that relationship.
Yeah, so at some point, let them work. And I remember when Mary Liz Baibwa was here and she said, yes, I'm taking the step to come and meet you halfway. Why isn't the person, the perpetrator, the offender, where are they meeting me? Even them, are they apologetic? Even them, do they want to mend this relationship? I mean, it's just me as the child who wants to remain.
It's your responsibility as a child, and you're told, wachana na hiyo mambo ya kitambo, mtu abebangi kwa roho.
Alafu the Africanness in us ni kama unajua baba yako wanaweza kukulaani ukim. I think people are so afraid of being cursed by their parents. They cut them off.
Let me tell you, you cannot, you're the one who told me, you cannot curse that which you have not blessed. You cannot
bless,
If your parent has not blessed you, there is no way they will curse you.
Because why are you so quick to curse? When you are being watched, you'd have blessed your child with that car. Like, why are you why is curses so easy to come by, blessings are a problem?
You just reminded me of a threat when I was in high school. So, for me, my mom and dad, I think they used to like balance each other out. My mom was a guidance and counseling mistress, so she at least had... My dad, on the other hand, was the disciplinarian. He never used to beat me because I was an only kid.
Hey, you're lucky.
Like, for him, you cannot beat a girl or a woman. But for the guys, my God. For us girls, ilikuanga emotional blackmail, honestly. So I remember there's a time I used to date this, Puppy Lavia High School. And he was so pissed at it. And so walikuwa shanikataza with my mom, like, stop seeing that boy, concentrate on your studies. But then sasa mnafanya vitu chini ya maji. Then he found out. Do you know what he told me? Now I'll let you do what you want if you want to keep dating that boy, but just know I can curse you. I was so scared of it.
You broke up with your puppy love.
I broke up with him. No. Like, imagine, like, I mean, what threat was that? I will not follow you anymore. I will not even ask your teachers if you're still writing to each other those letters. Because you have promised me that you have stopped. But if you have not stopped, he's not saying it in an angry way. I will curse you. He's just saying in a nice way, classic emotional. You're my daughter and I love you. So if you don't do what I'm telling you, do you know I can curse you as your father? And it's not good. I was so scared, man. I
think that same Nini, it's the same dynamic as heaven and hell. It's just like you are supposed to do the right thing, but if you don't, I'm watching.
Yes,
and you'll go to hell.
Exactly. So, like, he's being so nice about it, but he's already put the fear of God in him. Even if I have feelings, they have to die. I have to kill them now.
I don't want to be cursed. Bless your children.
You can curse me all you want, but it will bounce back.
Yeah. Mama G. Can you watch Nigerian movies?
7 times stronger. I'll tell you. You know, parents like using this verse. Children, obey your parents so that you may live you longer on earth. But it continues. She's the one who told me. But parents, do not provoke your children to wrath. Look, wrath means extreme anger. It's a lot for a child to get to that point where they have such extreme wrath towards their parent. The parent has done something.
And children are surely innocent and they owe their loyalty to their parents. So for you to have provoked your child to that level, or even anger generally, you must have tried too hard. Like, anyway. Haya, wacha niendelee na response. That was a heavy one.
That was a heavy one.
Someone else said, we're breaking stuff when we don't obey. I am so scared.
Breaking stuff in the
Guys.
house.
Breaking stuff.
What do you mean? Like what we see in the movies?
I guess.
Okay, that's sickness.
That's extreme.
That's extreme.
Because me, I know I always... Because my mom... Sijui kama kila mtu anajua hii coffee inakupatanga kama ujui. I think because of that,
Land to mko mnaslapiwa kwa uso.
No, me, I've never been slapped on the face. My mom, coffee ilikuwa kwa mgongo, and then there was our punishment was scheduled. You've done a mistake, ningoje leo nikirudi home, and then you lie on the floor. She used to have a belt. Alikuwa anachagua belt. So
Unachapo wapi?
kwa matako. Is your bum, please? I mean, where else are African children supposed to be beaten? Are you mad?
Bum, and here, my mom used to beat us.
Oh, us even we didn't get beaten anywhere else.
Ouch.
Me, I right now I hear people's stories. I'm like, okay, my mom was sort of lenient.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't also the anger beating, the one that I've had people describe. How she used to beat us, and then in Aisha, I think another thing that was also traumatic to me, and I think that's one of the things that changed my relationship with religion, was sometimes she'd tell us to kneel and ask God for forgiveness after you've done a mistake. And me, I think that sort of affected even how I view God, religion right now. There was that sort of... Anyway. Yeah, hata sijui kwenye nilikuwa naenda na hii point. Nilikuwa naenda mahali, but...
Mimi nilikuwa napewa Biblia naambiwa. Can you swear that you've not done 1, 2, 3 things? Can you swear? My dad was sick. Can you take this Bible and swear? Do you know if you don't say the truth, thunder will strike you?
Afro cinema continues shortly.
Me, my mom was like, ukisikika ukiswear. Who's that who's been swearing? Utachapwa juu ya kuswear. Like, you cannot swear.
You can, yeah.
And then you are being
but
told
breaking.
I piga magoti.
I even asked you it was.
Nichukue Biblia and I swear. Hey, let me tell you.
No way.
Nilikuwa nachapwa kwa mkono until tukafika kwa mangumi na mateke.
But hapana.
For a girl.
Yeah, he got to that point. That man is sick.
And that's why I think sometimes these men have episodes. Because I know of a friend as well who, I think the dad, what does it, switched. You know, the way something happens, it's like a trigger. And then it was war. It was mob justice. It was just, and I was like, she's such a tiny girl. You're a whole man. What was it's a moment of anger that you cannot explain. But this is where I have so many problems with parents. Yes, that happened. Fine. There must have been something that must have clicked in you. And I understand that. And your child doesn't have to forgive you, by the way. But the fact that right now you're older, your child is older, you look back and you remember that moment. You must go back to your children and at least acknowledge that you are wrong for that. We can't keep holding that. Oh, I was your parent. That was a bad thing. Ata sorry wezi sema. You can't acknowledge that you hurt her in a certain way.
They cannot. It will make sense and it will be very healing for some of us if our parents would acknowledge what they did and say, I'm sorry, and seek mental health specialists, go for therapy.
And for me, I've always said I don't even want them to apologize. Just acknowledge and do better from now on. If you used to shout and I've told you that shouting had affected how I interact with people right now, I'm just telling you from now on, start watching your tone. I don't want you to apologize for
the past.
You didn't know any better. But if you also refuse to also change your ways, and I'm also adjusting my life to accommodate you. I'm also adjusting my life to make my children have a better experience. Why am I doing all the adjustments? Na wewe umeamua tu ati yours
think
is set on stone.
It's harder for parents who are like way older. Like my dad is.
Hey,
He's in his 70s. So now he's like, maybe you'd complain something. Like, for me, I've learned to have them. Hey, when we were growing up, my dad was so harsh. Like, his tone is so high. So it took me a while to adjust with that. Sometimes he has a high tone.
Yeah.
But now growing up, like in high school, apart from the high tone he has, angekugombanisha, and you get like so scared.
Yeah.
And then baadaye now you start telling him, hapana, unajua sauti yako inaogopesha watu. So he tries to adjust, but he's like, maybe at this point I can't do any more adjusting. So there's a time walikosana na my cousin. My cousin is older. Like at that time I think he was married. So that anger drove him to slap him.
My Lord. So
but then I'm like telling him, okay, you are angry. He was on the wrong. My cousin was on the wrong, but you shouldn't have slapped him. And then he answers me, but I'm his parent. There's like hakuna shida mzazi akikuchapa. And I'm like, apana. So you're trying to explain, and it's like, you people of this generation. So it's like, okay, I can't anymore. Wacha tuniwate because now,
it gets to a point where you let them.
The older parents used to feel like, as long as mimi ni mzazi,
so long as I'm older than you.
As long as I'm older than you, like it's, and I think they need to know, like it's not okay.
Yeah. I saw just a meme yesterday, where an old person was telling a young boy, you should listen to old people. You should listen to old people advising you. And the young boy is telling him, but you know, stupid people also grow old. Like the stupid people we are dealing with right now will also be one time 50, 60. Yeah. And you are supposed to listen to them by virtue of just them being older.
I know.
They're still stupid. Even stupid people grow old.
Like that.
Yeah. Me, I saw the meme. Okay, I hope I'll find it again. But where I was going with my point was, because my mom used to, even right now, her voice, kama your dad, her voice is very high pitched, and akigombana na gomba. My mom was known for kugombana. Even guests just know Mama Olive and mwalimu nani mkali. So I'm me in my adulthood. I'm very baby girl. At you're in my life and you don't even flinch. Me, even men who've tried to
shout at you.
You change your tone at a text. Isisome tone.
How dare
tone kwa text, my friend. I ain't about to. I am so scared. To date, I can't hoot. I nashtuka nikisikia hooting kwa barabara. I'm just so scared of noise that is not kawaida noise. It's not a conversation. It's not. And all of this I just know was from the mode of punishment.
After me to go to a place, like, I think for me mentally, my dad, like he tried being a teacher pia, alikuwa anajaribu kuwaeka in the, I don't know,
right
path. But hiyo shouting affected me in a way that mimi hutoroka conflict. I hear you start shouting. Nitaenda nitarudi to solve baadaye when you're not shouting, because I'll start crying. And then my dad used to hate crying. He was like, he would shout at you na usilie. Why are you crying? So it angers him more. Like,
yes,
I have this emotion, so am I supposed to
nipeleke wapi? And you're louder than me.
Exactly, you're louder than me. You're shouting like. So what do I do? So thankfully for me, my mom was there. She used to cushion it a bit. Actually, I grew up with a lot of my cousins, so we used to call my mom lawyer. Kama umekosa enda kwa lawyer kwanza before magistrate afike, because he didn't know sentence you. So just unaenda kwa mom nimekosa leo, lakini najua tu baba akikuja, so unaenda kujistaki kwa lawyer mapema. So you start like akikuja lakini unajua kuna kitu ilifanyika hapa jana, lakini ina haja take vitu out of proportion and then you get angry. But since mama shaanza na
mpenzi amemtuliza,
yes, amemtuliza kwanza, it becomes easier.
Must be nice. Yeah, but even for us, we used to know we don't get beaten when our dad is home. So yes, one parent like sort of neutralizes the situation.
But sasa mimi my mama alikuwa wa kuchapa.
Oh.
So now when dad is home,
kuchapa na
ukitaka kutoroka
kushout.
ilikuwa kuchapa
my
na
lord.
kushout. So ukitaka kutoroka kiboko, for me
Enda
at least,
upigiwe.
my cousins used to be afraid of my dad because of the shouting. But mimi sikuwa namuogopa. Nilikuwa na kasirika time ana shout. But like I was daddy's girl. So mama akitaka kukuchapa. And then to my dad. Nakumpigisha story and then your mom wants like
Hey, balance.
So,
balance. Yeah.
My daughter doesn't like it when I shout. So when it's not even shouting, I talk. It's my voice. So when I tell her something, anakuja analia, "Mommy, you shouted at me." So I have to apologize. And every time when I talk to her, I try to lower my voice, mongeleshe pole pole. But umesema because unajua umesema ati you used to cry, nikafikiria my baby. So you can unafikiria huyu ni mtoto mdogo na tumasikio twake tudogo, and then me I'm a grown ass woman and I'm trying to tell her this was wrong, so her she'll take it as shouting.
But me, I'm imagining the way your voice is so soft. Mtoto wako angegombanishwa na mama yangu.
Angetoroka walai.
My daughter is baby girl. That child is just a baby girl.
Maybe my son wants to. Mama, kwani ni lazima ushout? Uniambie tu nimefanya makosa. I
once asked, ilipata nisha hustle in Nairobi, and then I went back home. I was very irritable. When I went back home, and then my mom started gombaning about something, and I thought it was a reflex. I didn't expect myself to, but nikamuuliza, sasa ni nini unapigia nduru?
Enyewe times have changed.
Haukukasiwa.
Nikisema kitu ni nduru. Niambia napiga nduru. Yani what I'm saying ni nduru tu.
Unapiga nduru saizi.
And then the next time I'm sure I'll reference. Nitakwambia utasema napiga nduru.
The next time she said she saw I think it was one of my nibblings doing something, and then she was just like, wacha nisiseme watasema napiga nduru.
They used to do that a lot, baby.
My lord. Yeah, breaking of stuff. And guy, this is so aligned. Just yesterday, I was watching one of these experiments at Jubilee, and I think that's when I learned that anger is a mental issue. Apparently, there are people who struggle with anger.
Are you serious?
Like addiction, yeah. So that's why there's anger management.
Are you for real?
So anger is also a mental issue.
Actually, you can't control your anger.
Yes, there are people who are more
to
angry
the point
than
that you have to like take it out on someone or something, Ama.
Yes, there's one boy who confessed, who was was doing a confession on that show, and he was saying he was actually arrested for attempted murder, and see now he's gone to therapy, and looking back, he remembers that entire scene when he was stabbing that person constantly, and he felt like I want he looked at him while blood was draining, and he was like, I want him dead, like and he remembers his thought process during that incident. The guy didn't die, but he's grateful for that. But he remembers when he was full of anger. So anger is also a thing. So people who punch walls, people who break things, you should look into anger management.
I feel like it's probably there's a base there. There's a mental health issue there that brings out all this.
No, there's usually issues like maybe they grew up in a very violent home.
Yeah.
Yes, there's
something there.
I should have had Ivana on this podcast. So our mental health episode, Ivana said all of us have a mental issue to some extent. It's just triggers that we experience at different times. So some people might have a trigger that will bring it all up. Some people might never have a trigger in their life that now they'll have to deal with it that way. But all of us are struggling through something. Our entire adulthood is a response to a trauma.
When we were kids, I would agree to that because I'm very cautious with how I raise my baby. I try to protect her from so much. My separation with her dad really affected her mentally. And it's really hard to notice these things when they're kids. So what happened for me to notice, it's actually a nurse. She kept getting asthma attacks, and that can be because of stress. So at around, I think she was 5 years, we got hospitalized because of an asthma attack. When we were there, the nurse was like, there's something going on here. How's home? I suggest that you see kids therapist.
Yeah.
And when we went, because it was around the same time, the following week when I was going to her school for parents teacher, the teacher was like, your kid, if you raise your voice a little bit, she starts crying. And she told me, your child is very special. She will listen, but the way you punish other kids, you can't punish her like that. So you need to be very cautious with her. And she also suggested, go see a kids therapist. And this is a teacher, wale waze, hawa baby boomers wenye tunaongelea. So nice. We went and saw a therapist, and she diagnosed my child with anxiety. It was really bad. And when she sat down with her, she realized it's stemming from the separation that I had with the dad, and there was a lot of violence. Really sad and unfortunate she witnessed a bit of that. So right now I'm very cautious with how I am towards her, because I don't want this to be something that she grows up with. The way she's saying it now, it triggers when you become an adult.
Yeah. Hey.
Kids actually notice.
And you actually, vile ulisema earlier, you register them subconsciously.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things. When I started the podcast is when I started to extract, what is it called? Experiences from so long ago. And I met actually a primary school mate on Friday. Was it? No, on Thursday. Anyway, sometime this week. And I realized my mind has blocked. Yet I think before COVID, hakuna kitu akili yangu inakumbuka.
Are you serious?
I think I was just on, and I'm trying to remember my childhood. I just have like bits and pieces. So I think I just like moved. I just moved.
That's your subconscious that, I don't know.
It's protecting you from what
That's
happened.
It's just self-preservation. And I'm just like, I think I just mastered the art of let's move, let's move, let's just go, let's go. And we're just like, whatever has happened, sawa, afanyika, let's go. But, my Lord.
I think it affects our kids from like right wako wadogo.
Yeah.
When we were talking about, before we started the pod, I was talking about the times I used to travel a lot for work. So sometimes I used to have to leave my son with my dad. And as much as they really bonded, they were besties. But there's just that your mom and that. So like sometimes I would leave and he cries but I come back. So there's a time I'd gone for, I think it was December holidays. So that you stay a bit longer. So on the day when I'm leaving, like he's not even sleeping, he's Mama unaenda. He's like, he's so used to me like going that he can't believe that like I'm here for this longer period. I felt so bad, and that's the time I started looking for a job that will make me like stay with my son. Because even when I started now staying with him, I remember my cousin had visited. So imefika jioni, I want to leave. I think I was going out or something. He was like, Mama akina urudi, usiende ukae sana. And then my cousin was like, kwani unamwachanga sana? And it was the first time nilikuwa nimeanza kukaa naye full time. I was like, when I used to live him with my dad, I think imeingia kwa akili yake that I'll be going away for like a week or two before I come back. So I used to feel so bad. But now he knows, like I'm usually, he doesn't even cry when I leave because he knows I'll come back.
Kids
and I'm glad that I gave him that assurance that no matter where I go, like nitarudi. At the end of the day, I will be back. So at least now he knows, but he really struggled with it for some time when I started living with him full time after nimemtoka my dad.
You see, even the way when kids are small and unaambiwa mwache alie You know, it will register in that child's mind at some point. May I feel like they subconsciously, even if they can't tell this is this, kids pick up emotions as early as from being in the womb. When you're sad, your child in your womb will tell.
I can give you a real life example of that. I think I detest contact. I don't like touching people. I don't like people touching me. And as a child, I don't remember any contact. First of all, I remember being very fat, so no one would carry me. But Nikki, look back, I remember. I also used to suck my thumb. And in the very beginning, I remember so early. In the very beginning, when I start sucking my thumb, I hold a meaty part. I hold someone's meaty part. So it could be my mom's arm or my dad's earlobe.
Uko hivi.
But sasa nakumbuka nikiambiwa, no, still like, So I think your two detachment, pole pole, and then I think for us also, we were privileged enough. We never got to share beds, only unless kuna event or there's more people in the house. So things like those, I just grew with no body contact ever. So yeah, you register as a child, but you don't know it. As an adult, if you take the time and look back, then you realize this is where this came from.
Hey.
Let me read another response here. Sharing some family problems with me at a young age. Sometimes parents trauma dump on their kids.
Like what? I'd like to know, like what?
There are things like, I know for examples that I've had, the mom will come and tell you, like, your dad has done this. You know, as a child,
your dad cheated on me. That's
your father's
doing
like the things that are going on in their marriage, you're aware of. Now you don't know, like, what am I supposed to do with this information? Your father has taken money and bought something that we hadn't planned for.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how minute. As a child, come and see ABC. Don't tell it to what am I supposed to do with it? Yeah.
You have to be very cautious with how you communicate some things to children. If it's a must for them to know, like, separation, you can sit down and just tell them, we both love you. But it's just that the same way you don't agree with your friend and you're no longer friends, it's the same way. I'm disagreeing with Daddy right now.
Yeah.
And right now we are not in good terms. But we love you and we are still a family. That's how I communicated.
But that's prepping them for like a separation, which is.
But going to tell your kids, CG, your dad did this. There's an
which
episode,
I think is related to you. Rafiki yako akikwambia, don't cry over a breakup in front of your child.
Yeah, don't.
Your child cannot process a relationship, a breakup.
They cannot.
They just know mommy's crying.
Yeah, and you don't know how that will manifest for them later.
I am very cautious with introducing the person I'm seeing to my child, because I don't have time to keep telling them no. Me, if I know,
actually,
hey, I am not my father.
You did not learn the art.
Hey, no.
For me, I think if I remember, there's one time, these scuffles and fights that couples have. So my parents were fighting, and it was the first time I saw them like wakishautiana hivyo sana. And I was like, okay, what's going on? I was so confused. What am I supposed to do? And they're like, my dad is shouting, my mom is shouting. I was so scared. I took Mwiko. Nikakimbia, and then I beat my dad up.
Yeah.
Because, like,
you have been a girl's girl. You have been a girl's girl.
You see the way I told you earlier, my dad used to shout. Yeah. So my mom is also shouting, but his voice overpowered. So in my head, I was like,
ni huyu ndo mwenye makosa.
So I went and beat him. And then my mom was so scared. What did you just do? And I'm like, I was defending you. Like, what?
How old were you, Mercy?
I was in primary, like lower primary, maybe class 4 or 3 hapo. But this memory has never left. So like, I'm like, my mom comes si nilikuwa nakutetea like kunena
niwe nakutetea.
Yeah, and then I think they realized what they had done. I really usually appreciate this moment. They sat down, waliniita wakaniambia I'm sorry you just experienced that. Sometimes adults fight. We were not supposed to do that. Like we didn't know you were around. And, like they took their time and apologized.
Yeah,
I think that's the last time nilisikia wakishautiana hivyo. Like if they had their own fights huko, like from then sikuwahi ona. Until like way later nikiwa maybe class 8 or form 1. Again, they had fought in the bedroom. Hata sikusikia, like you can just
tell the tension. Atmosphere.
So my dad comes, and then my mom had cooked tea ameka kwa meza, and then akakata sasa kunywa chai, and then he left. He drove off, akafika kwa gate, and then he drove back. He came, Mercy, I'm sorry. Aufai kukata chakula ya mtu juu mmekasirikiana.
Oh, I love that.
He went back and sat down and took
I like
tea.
that.
He took the tea. Akaambia kuja kaa hapa tukunywe na wewe.
I like
and then
that.
I sat and I was like, and then my mom again later called me. Akasema, ilikuwa tu vitu ndogo. Itaisha. Sijua baba yako akikasirika. Like they would take time. If I witnessed like any moment of them having a scuffling,
they'd have
to like tell me sometimes
yeah.
adults fight and it's okay, and what I did was wrong. You should like something, and I think that's something that in adulthood nikiangalia mimi hujaribu like to make peace. Sipendangi like zile conflicts, and if I feel I have a problem with you, I will not like bottle it up. I'll come and tell you, by the way, ulinifanyia hivi na si poa.
I like that.
So I think that's something positive and
it's very positive.
I was actually going to ask you how that has positively impacted you, but you've said that.
That's very beautiful. But it also has it has a flip side in the sense that for me, I never saw my parents fight at all. They were literally, if you'd have asked me dream couple, I'd have told you my parents. But then they sheltered me from the real life experiences of couples. And so right now growing up, I don't know what relationships. I only saw daddy giving mommy gifts. Whenever mommy was stressed, daddy would nini. And then I never saw them shout. I've never even seen an attitude between the two of them. My mom was always catering to, she's like her entire life is serving my dad providence and my comfort of my mother. So saying relationships, I'm just like, what in the ghetto is this? Mbona tunapigana? Mbona sina gifts? Mbona sielewi? So I can't comprehend the other side of relationships where it's maybe disagreements. Let's talk. I
also think that I had that, you make yourself have that idea of the marriage and how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And when you don't get it, you like, I think that's one of the contributing factors to me separating with with my son's dad, because I already know what marriage is supposed to look like. I have seen,
and it doesn't look like this.
Yes, and it doesn't look like this. Exactly. So you already have it in your mind, like, okay, it's supposed to be this way, and if it's not serving me the same way, like it's a relationship, but no, just
maybe
so
we just find like better ways. I think like the way your parents did it, even the way you're doing it, because I'm in contact with her a lot of times, so I see how she's parenting, and I think I imagine millennial and Gen Z parents are finding such a good balance. And me, I say, if there's anything I have to live for, me zinanga hata reason ya kuishi. If there's anything I have to live for, is just to see what these kids will look like, the society of these kids that you're raising.
Gen Alpha.
Yeah, Gen Alpha, because I feel like the society will be a way better place.
Better.
Yeah.
It will be.
Someone else said a lot.
Guys are going through it out here.
I'm going through a lot.
Watoto wa baby boomers. We need that
we need help. We do bouncing castle.
Day out. Hey. A lot.
Hey.
Amesema tu a lot. Itoshe. Someone else said, being mean and extremely abusive, calling me names, pointing out my insecurities in public.
Guy.
What is with parents and shaming their children? Yes. Why was shame used as a punishment?
Yeah. Comes the fact that she's saying her parents, I don't know why I keep thinking it's probably her mother. Her parents calls out her insecurities in front of people. That's heavy.
Even that one for wanting to shame you in front of boys or girls.
Yeah, especially when you're already a teenager.
Kwani, how embarrassed are you of your child? May you feel like these parents did not want us.
I recently also just learned from like a certain parenting coach, even like iyo kuchapa mtoto, no matter how young you think they are, don't beat them before they are mates.
Or in front of people.
Muite kando, enda uchape kwa akarumu, mwambie na kuchapa kwa sababu umehog food, ama umemwaga soda, ama whatever you've done, mchape huko, and then let him go back outside. But like sisi likuanga umefanya makosa hapo na hapo.
Yeah.
Nani nimekwambia mwage soda mbele ya wageni?
My mom used to una isolate you. She used to just look at you. Noted.
Unajua.
Noted.
Yeah.
Nimekuwa scheduled for punishment.
Find attached, my friend. But yeah.
On that point, me have never understood how parents can chapa their kids kwa supermarket.
Yeah.
Me don't do that. I do not.
I'd rather go tukifika home nikwambie tulikuwa nafanya ni mbaya sana.
Ama unamwambia, if you don't stop that, when we get home, you're going to get a beating. Parents chapa their kids in supermarkets. That's wild for me.
I feel like maybe it's an approval thing. Because my mom, hata ilifika point she used to tell us, tunaingia supermarket, okay? Hiyo tukoingia supermarket. Tunaenda kuchukua mkate na maziwa. Nikuone. So you enter the supermarket, you all look like such a disciplined family. But then I saw my sisters just like my elder sister now, she just like beats wherever we are. Kwenye mtoto amefanya makosa, she just be like, takuchapa. It's not bad beating, but I think for her, she enjoys that validation for other parents being like, now my parents being like, hey, you amefanya makosa, it's good you're punishing your kids. So I think there's also that validation of the younger, just slightly younger people getting that validation for mimi si our new age parents and sichapi watoto. I beat my kid. You see, I beat my kids. I don't
Us,
know.
we don't beat until you have talked to 3 times. The fourth one you
apparently you're supposed to warn like ukirudia hivyo
takuchapa. They know.
Ukirudia now the third time, si nimekwambia ya kwanza na pili, which punishment did you agree on?
Ni kuchape wapi? Ni chagua mimi I tell them that
Gen Z punishment is hard, like being a millennial parent, because our parents didn't have to think through all these things.
They didn't,
Sasa sisi we have to like
they said that I want to be a gentle parent, but my child is not gentle child.
Hey, we're having it hard as parents.
I've heard you can't be a gentle parent to boys.
Boys, man, you have to shout.
Utashinda au akuparent
imagine sometimes even in public I see parents and kids, and there's even a time I was caught at the airport with my sister and twins. Hey, mimi nikasema reason 47 child free. Imagine, give respect to parents. Just give maybe all the respect you can get to parents.
As much as sometimes nitaka nifikiria I'm doing exactly what my dad used to do. But sasa
you have a son.
I have a son. Unajipata umeshout because why are you claiming that you'll fall? I'll have to pay medical bills. You'll be hurt. You won't go to school. Why are you being Spider-Man? You will shout and shout.
Yeah. I think with boys you just have to let them be. What's apande anguke aumie.
Alafu next time.
Alafu nani atalipia host.
Speaking of that supermarket story, umenikumbusha Trevor Noah's book. There's a place he says.
Alichapa kwa supermarket.
No, his mom used to tell him, ukienda na uchukue kitu ingine, like I'm not paying, like we're agreeing now. So they go to the supermarket with his mom, and then he cries over a toy or something. He cries. And the mom tells him, see, I already told you this is my budget. I do not have any more money to surpass this. Okay, since you insist, let's go. They got to the counter. She paid for exactly what she had taken. And she left. So he was like waiting, anajua, anamtishia tu, she'll come back. She went, put the shopping in the car and waited.
Mama Trevor
And then like the supermarket attendants are like, okay, she just left her kid with us. You have to go. And that's how he became so disciplined to like.
Yeah, you have to do something.
Me, my mom even had things like pale kwa counter. See, she knows embarrassment is also your portion. She'll just take things and be like, you tunarudisha. And I don't know why we used to get so embarrassed about returning.
Mimi for Amara, so she used to do things very slowly in the morning. One time akafanya pole pole, gari kakuja ya shule, hajamaliza. Nikamwambia, you know what? You're not going to go to school. I will call them and tell them you're not going to go to school. Tomorrow when you go to school, when teacher asks you, where did you? Say, I did slowly when I was preparing myself in the morning. I was not quick enough. Tangu hiyo siku. Faster. Today I've done faster, mommy. Na hiyo siku akifika hakuna kuwatch. Hiyo siku yenye hakuna kuwatch cartoon. Hapana.
Oh, there's punishment.
Our family friends. Hey, kuna family friend yetu very close. So for her, she used to, like the dad, akisema tunatoka 8. By 8 mwenye ako kwa gari wataenda. Mwenye hajaingia shauri yako.
You go,
I think it really disciplined them into adulthood. Wakisema time, mimi on the other hand akikai. Bado nitarudi nimesahau sijui nini. For them their dad was like, si mefika tulisema tutatoka saa ngapi? Like, he won't even remind you.
Let's go.
Utaona tu ameshakunywa chai amevaa.
And then you know
it's now. So I'm like, why people in so much? Mbona mnarush hivi?
Ni mtaachwa.
Akasema usipoingia yote mtaachwa. My dad will like hoot 3 times. For him, he won't even shout. He won't atakunywa tu chai avae aingie kwa gari. Ushia mfungulie gate na atoke. And then he'll be like, I'm so confused what's going on.
There's a parent friend was telling me, you know, us child few we are out here dishing advice like we know we're the best parents ever. So she was like, my daughter doesn't understand, she doesn't conceptualize money. And me, I told her, I don't know whether it's a good thing or you'd recommend. I told her, start rewarding her or giving her like an allowance. And then when she wants something, let her take it from so that she learns even how to calculate. You want a nini? You want Oreo? Oreo is 50 shillings. How much has been your allowance this week? 50 shillings. Do you have enough money?
Yes,
okay. If kama time allowance ijafika kama salary. Time allowance ijafika ulisha kula Oreo. You wait for the next one. And she says there's a time when she said she's not going to spend her money. She was like, how she gave them, I think there were a couple of people. She gave them 1,000 shillings. She said, here, you go and spend money and come back. Do whatever you want. So they only came back at Isiju with like a sweet and lollipop. Because, you know, they had to share 1,000. It's only then that they realize, you know, when you're going with your parent, you're just like, we want KFC. Yeah, we want Nini. You don't know the calculation. But anyway, it's unsolicited advice that I just thought. How old is the kid? 15 now. Yeah,
I think I'll do that.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I do that with Amara. I don't give her allowance, but Feria kimpatia 200 ama mtu ampatie 100. If she needs to do something, she'll say, Mommy, I have money. I need to go, but I feel like eating Oreos. How much am I left with? Tuna calculate hiyo ndo pesa yake.
Or a reward. See, you are worried about making her do like house chores. You feel like she's so young.
Yeah.
So you can start introducing them slowly.
She's 7.
Oh, nice.
You can start introducing them slowly. If you wash the fridge, you get 50 shillings.
My son saved for 3 days and he emptied his piggy bank and went and bought this.
Which is okay. He will understand the concept of money. It's his money.
Unfortunately, now he still has to come back and like cry and I want this. So I have to like again give him. He hasn't understood that.
Now you'll set up the system. Now you'll set up the system for reward equal work.
There's a parent, friend of mine. So we were talking yesterday. She has Gen Zs.
Yeah.
And she was telling me the way her kids, she gives her kids allowance every month, like salary. For if they need anything, you're getting it from your allowance. So this one time they got late for in the morning to go to school, so the bus left them. She said that she'll not wakaanza kutembea, akawapata katikati, so the kids are expecting the mom to drop them. The mom akawaangalia, so they're wondering, why aren't you opening this car door? What's happening? Mama akaangalia kawaambia, no, I'm not dropping you. You'll either walk or you order a cab. You have your phone.
You have your
order a cab. We don't have money. You have allowance. We will do this then. If I order for you,
you give me
that money we are deducting from your allowance next month. That's how she parents. See, you're supposed to groom the dog. Na haujafanya vizuri, and they charge this much. So because you haven't groomed the dog well, I'll have to take the dog to someone else and I'll pay.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's coming from your allowance.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's a good one.
Tuliambiwa Gen X wanakuanga wamenyamaza, lakini
hapo they're silent in between millennials and
then between millennials and
boomers. Yeah. They're very interesting.
I think this is the last one. The parents used to beat my ankles with a metallic rod because I took a little longer than expected to get home from school. She and her husband beat me up for hours because I came back late from taking their daughter to boarding school. There was so much traffic. My sis asked her whom she loves most. This is the same person, by the way. My sis asked her who she loves most, and she said her husband, named my sisters, then nanny, and then me.
Wait, are we talking? We're talking about a kid who's living with his
I think
relatives.
with the mom, and then the mom has a
stepdad.
husband. Yeah.
So he or she was like bottom of the list.
Bottom of the, maybe she was. You remember when we were discussing firstborns, and I think Shiro brought up the point that firstborn kids might not have been planned for.
Yeah.
And it could be a very resentful situation, or it could be a very blessing. It's a blessing in some sort.
Yeah.
Because some people say their kids came and changed their life. Yeah. But for some,
resentment.
Yeah, you're thinking horrible.
Kama si huyu mtoto ningekuwa sijui wapi.
Maybe you're even feeling sometimes, sometimes how is it the generation of our parents where they really glorified having a man in your life, so it didn't matter what this person did to your children. It was just so long as, so maybe in this case the husband wasn't even treating her as well. And you remember the narrative for single moms. I'm glad right now everyone has decided we're all parents. Tutulie kwa hii soko na kila mtu adate kila mtu, because there was a time when it was just single moms. Don't date a single mom. Don't date a single mom.
It's still there, babe.
But I feel like soko size, yeah.
But it's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there.
A lot.
Oh,
a lot more than you'd imagine.
Ebu try going there online and say, Ati, you're a single mom and something happens. Every man will be on your comment saying, no wonder you're a single mom. Ata huwezi pata mtu. Who wants to marry a single mom?
I saw Amakovewala's Shoot Your Short series. So someone gives her profile. She's 32. She's a single mom. And then she goes ahead to state the kind of man she wants. And most of the comments were, at 32 single mom na bado kona standards. Hafai kukuwa na standards juu ni single mom amale.
Because you should be desperate for a husband.
Exactly, you should be desperate for someone to be a father to your kids and to be. But kitu nimefurahi is that single moms have still maintained your kuset standards. Most of them, I would say, bado kuna wale wenye they are so desperate for that attention that they would do whatever. But kuna wengi wenye so what, like.
We've also yeah, sure.
Okay. I saw a post by this lady that I share. Nimeanza kushare her content. What's her name? Hannah on TikTok. She
maybe
says,
I don't remember her username, but yes.
The one who posted the story of the man who wants this lady.
Okay, yeah.
So there's this story she had where a lady, this man is married. So he's brought in a second wife. And now they want she gives the wife the reason why he's getting a second wife, and specifically this woman, it's because she's a single mom. So he's saving her. She's being saved.
The second wife is being saved.
She's a single mom.
It's pity relationship.
Most people inakuanga hivyo.
Jamani.
Ringtone. Take you ringtone. Jamani inaniuma. My lord.
Unanifanyia favor ukinioa. Shame on you.
I'm saving you.
And I'm marrying you. I want you to meet her because, I'm marrying her because she's a single mom. I'm saving her.
No, tutafika kwa series ya mapenzi. We'll talk about those women who believed their man is marrying to save, and the woman who was married to be saved. We will get there. It's okay. You have explaining to do. It's fine. I want to read now mail. Oh, I'm on the wrong WhatsApps. I want to read mail. Mails are a bit longer. But usually by this time of the discussion, we've probably covered a lot of what we are talking about. So it's just in case it brings up any other thing we've forgotten. Someone said, don't share ID. Me and my husband stopped talking because he was verbally manipulative. I told my mom this year, which is now 2 years later. We are in different countries, so staying out of contact was easy. When I told my mom, her only takeaway question was, how did I wrong him for him to cut me off? I just walked away from her because I don't do confrontation. That's number one. This is a very common experience with women who've left marriages or relationships. And I actually replied to her and told her, I didn't tell my family of my last breakup. And it's because I didn't feel like I have the strength to explain. And then also, my reputation as the black sheep.
Yeah.
Already, if a relationship doesn't work out, of course, ni Olive. Of course. I mean, men are really good outside here. They only have
the problem.
Akona kasoro.
Yeah, and I remember when was it my auntie who asked, because she's been told rumors. I hear you're living with someone. So my auntie asked, so how's Nani doing? I was like, he's fine. Are you still together? Because I wasn't about to start telling her.
Explaining it.
I was like, apana tuliachanaga. And then she was like, if you're not for one man, you're for many men. And time is going, and what will people say? And I'm like, what people? I never announced my relationship. What people, who is saying?
If
you're not for one man, you're for many men. You're for many men. I was like, okay, and I understood why this is why I can't tell. And I didn't even explain my side of the story. And to date, I don't know if my family knows that this man cheated and has a whole child. Mimi ndo sasa klande kwa hiyo.
Senyo ulikuwa hapo ukijua ndio main.
But this is a very common experience, and how I'd connect it back to our parents is our mothers don't know any other life other than your husband
and being a mom.
And it was also drilled into them that men cannot be wrong. The patriarchy made sure that all blame is assigned to women. And so you remember when women would get beaten, it was just like, you must have done something. If he did, a man cannot get a boy child. It's your problem. A man, you can't have children. Is the woman. So that is a very deep-rooted belief in our African culture. And so for us to meamua, yes, we love some of our parents from afar, but trying to change their mentality about these things, sometimes it's still heartbreaking, because that's where you'd want to go back to for support, and to think that if I went back there, the first reaction would be to blame me as the victim. It's just sad.
And then the fact that they've brought you up, they feel they know you so much to the point that mimi najua unakwanga na hii character. It must have been that drove that man away.
Oh yeah, so they are also using already what they know about you, and they don't like.
Exactly. Not knowing, like, we evolve every day. You might have had I don't know if I should call it bad. I mean, you are a whole human. Hawezi kuwa like when the good girl or lazima kila mtu akona some imperfection. So for our parents, they'll feel, because they know this imperfection, you've had it ever since had you are grown as woman.
Yeah.
There's no way imepotea or something, and there's no way someone will like accept you with that. So najua kama nani anakuanga na hii tabia lazima
niyo kichwa ngumu.
I've actually had a comment like from someone so maybe I'm up there advising them, if this relationship is not working for you, you have to leave it. And then their parent is like ukiachana na mwanaume nani mwingine atakupenda na hii like this character nani mwingine atakupenda. Kama umepata mwenye anaweza kupenda na hiyo, like stick around. And they're supposed to be the parents that you run to for solace and to rant and wakwe on your side, like, you know.
Millennials, you're on your own. You are starting a whole new generation and culture and tradition. Mujue hizo za kitambo. You are on your, create your own families, communities, whatever we are doing here. Just like try. But you have to rely on baby boomers. I would advise against.
That's what I was going to say, that at this point we're creating our own community and families. Your family doesn't have to be blood. Your families could be your friend, because if you're not getting support from the other end.
But I do appreciate the parents who are actually willing to try and fit in. You see, like the way Sisi, we also look at Gen Z sometimes and like, okay, what's but then you try to fit in. Millennials, they wale tunakunga tuko huku, Gen Z tuko millennials, you try to like adapt to things that are going on. So for me, like my dad, there are some things that I'll tell him, hey, it no longer happens that way, and he'd be like, okay, he would actually be supportive and okay, like especially when it comes to parenting. I said, you know, you're not supposed to do that, and then you tell him, oh, minutely funzwa, and then it's like, okay, then let's combine he'll actually use the words, let's combine both our the knowledge you have and what I have. And like he's willing to learn and try to adapt, and like he will support before he hears the other story. Like if I'm breaking up with someone, like when I broke up with my baby daddy, he was on my side, and that's something that I felt was so solid. Like even before we go into ati wewe ulimfanyika nini. You
choose your side first.
You choose your side first. When they usikize hizo zingine baadaye, and then now you come together and say, okay, now this happened. So what now?
Mimi niliambiwa wanaume wako hivyo, muongeleshe, you know, at the end of the day you're all competing. So just go back to him and just try to beg him usisahaulike.
Competing for dusties. Mwageni maji shike matope, please.
Even my dad who gave me the courage to like walk out. It's like,
if
you're feeling depressed and you're feeling like, nilikuwa naogopa kumwambia what I'm going through, and he was like, no, I know you very well, and the way you were speaking hauko sawa. And by that time I was going through mild postpartum depression. I wouldn't call it really the extreme, but ilikuwa there kiasi. I came to know, but at that time sikuwa najua. Right now nikiangalia nyuma ndo I can tell I was going through something. And he could feel it every time he called me, and he was like, no. He even sent my aunt without me knowing. So alimwambia nitakuwa nakutumia fare, just go pretend keep company, then come and report back to me what's going on. So my aunt would go and call him. At some point he said, I want you to come back home and rest, and then you'll go back after that. So like I feel some of the baby boomers actually kukwa no support as much as tufanya aje, lakini they try to.
We're just looking for the openness. Imagine we're not telling you to just change. We're just looking for openness, and really kudos to every old parent who's trying.
Exactly.
Imagine, bless you, because it's not easy. You see, even us, we were thinking millennials were young. Right now, even just adjusting to Gen Z,
it's hard.
It's a struggle.
Gen Z friend of mine who told me, that's so millennial of you.
Oh my God. Uko we?
Unamaanisha nini? I just a baby.
I'm just a baby.
There's a TikTok of a woman who's saying she has a Gen Alpha and a Gen Z, and every time she has a hard time with her kids trying to understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Mimi, some other time my daughter was like, mommy, you're old. I was told that I'm growing old because I couldn't get what she was saying. Naya ameenda ku. You know, they usually talk and they give. You can't even understand some of the things these people are saying. I was told I'm acting senior.
Yeah. It's giving senior.
Senior
Citizens assemble.
My God.
Pole. Wacha nisome ingine.
Also, on that note, I wanted to say before you go to the next one, I love that some baby boomers, mothers or more or less wives are divorcing their husbands. And saizi wako peke yao, living life, enjoying life. I love it. I love it. I love it for them because they were in a toxic relationship.
Yes.
They're learning from us millennials. Because we're like,
I think they're also like,
I think
they're also gaining courage from us. Especially that single mom thing that you said.
Yeah.
You see, now it's hurting people because single moms, what are you adding to my life? If I'm mtoto wangu anaenda shule vizuri, we are eating, we live in a decent house, we living a very good lifestyle. Why are you shaming me?
But you know, most of the people who are shaming single moms, I would say, are millennials.
Of course, that's something that we, of
but
course.
But Gen Zs, those sweet little Gen Z boys,
do not settle.
They do not judge. In fact, they love it.
In fact, millennials and Gen Z, I find that I'm seeing more woke millennials and Gen Z men who are also very keen to not have children.
Yeah.
Not that they don't want to have children, but I've had conversations with people who are like, I'm very keen on who will be the mother of my kids. I'm very keen on not having a child out of accident. Nataka tukwe able to support. And then there's also the ones for, I don't think I can support a child. I don't think I can manage a child. So I'm making sure my budget ya condoms iko set. So I'm seeing more men like that, and actually kudos, yeah.
Then wale wenye hawana budget ya condom na pia hawana budget.
And then people who shame baby, like what are they called, single moms are deadbeats. See ati ana mtoto mahali. And me, let me tell you, me as a child-free woman who doesn't date men who have children, I've seen the anger when you tell them you have a child. Me, I don't want. Me, I don't date men with children.
The same people
they are so mad. They're just like, when you thought this card can't be flipped. Even me, I don't want to be a step parent.
Okay.
Over my Lord.
I like it when you flip the script and then they get so
they're
mad.
So surprised.
They tell you to us every day. We do it just once and you're like, hey.
Si ukiangalia kwa kioo hivi handwriting si same. Ukitana. The reflection is not the same. Someone else said, "Hi Olive, was just vibing with your TikToks until, well, I just know I'm just tired, feeling suffocated with the burden of having to fulfill their ideas. Granted, they wanted a better life and future for me, but living their life, I'm trying to figure out who I am, at the same time expected to fulfill and live their missed or supposed good life. One word I have for it is controlling."
True.
Their parents who their kids are an extension of them. There are parents who are fulfilling their dreams that they didn't achieve through their kids.
Yeah.
And I can't really, I don't have like specific thoughts on it, but I just feel like this now lies on you to break off. Because even me as a black sheep, I'll tell you, I broke off. I'm the only person in my extended entire family who's in the arts. I'm the only person like living the life I'm living. This falls squarely on you, and I know it will take a lot because it's like conjoined twins. Zile expectations my family and you can't break away from them. But from my experience and my perspective, it is you to break away from it. Watashanga, and
stubborn at times.
Yeah, the first reaction will be, "You've changed. Mbona umekuwa hivi siku hizi?" just choose you. Stop living for them, because utachoka. I'm living for myself and I'm this exhausted
towards them. And I remember when I was choosing my courses for after high school, so choosing your courses for campus. My dad was like, you have to take education, because he was a teacher. With education, by the time I was retiring, I was a principal. My mom was also at some good job group, and it's like, it's stability for you. These other professions, utapata wapi kazi. So it was like, if you're not, of course, sikupata so sija qualify kwa daktari, and it was like either medicine, walimu, even engineering wasn't so glorified, but ilikuwa inafall hapo hivyo number 3, I think. So like at media unaenda kufanya utapata wapi kazi?
Tell a baby boomer you're doing media. Watakuuliza
exactly.
The easiest way I could justify it was just Lilian Muli. This is Lilian Muli.
So my dad was like, unaenda kufanya education. Thankfully my mom came in, wacha afanye kitu anataka. Hautamlazimisha. My mom was like, hapana. Mimi pia nilikuwa mwalimu, and I didn't get as good as an experience as you did. So it could go either way. It could go either way. So let's compromise with her tuone anataka nini. So I was like, I told my mom, mimi nataka either nutrition ama communication. Because hata ukiangalia like the subjects I'd taken, I'd passed so well in arts and languages. You're forcing me to go and do things that
not a titration ilikushinda. Utaenda huko upatie patient daktari. We.
Unafaa kumix dawa mbili pamoja tatu.
So sometimes you just have to be stubborn, like you're saying, because mimi nikakataa nikasema I'm not taking education. Kama itafanya tukosane ni sawa. But thankfully my mom was on my side and like united front. We are fighting for this. You won't take education. So I guess sometimes you just have to stand up for yourself.
That one you'll have to akijisimamie. Hiyo nakwambia, and stop living ati I'm living my life plus fulfilling the expectations. I'll just tell you outright, stop. If you're living life for someone else, it is only a matter of time you burn out. It's only a matter of time. You'll be so resentful, you'll be so exhausted with life, there will be no fulfillment in your life. I know they're your parents, I know their blood. Just break off. It's easier.
And sometimes I don't know, sometimes it's them who are putting this pressure on us, but sometimes ni sisi tunajipea pressure. You're feeling like you failed them at some point. Niwe unajipea pressure because they gave me this life. If they didn't give you that life, maybe if you came from a less privileged home, you're like, I was supposed to change.
I was supposed to change the narrative.
And maybe in their mind, hata hawakupatia hiyo pressure, ni wewe mwenyewe unajipea na hiyo society. I can take an example. In high school, I really wanted to play football just because my dad didn't play. I mean, he was a football coach. Nilikuwa na feel like I'm more inclined to my mom sana, so I'm like, I have to be like my dad in some way. He doesn't have a son, so it's 2 women in the house against him. And then kwa hiyo society how they used to really bash people who didn't have male children, sons. Kuongezea was an only kid, like hauna ati hata girls for girls.
Your dad is just playing with cards hata sijui ni
exactly. So I was like feeling bad for him, na nilikuwa najipea hiyo pressure. So hata sina hata mwili ya kucheza football.
Wewe ukasema
mimi nimekaza
Lionel Messi.
Pale nilijua I'm putting this pressure on myself. He came to visit me siku moja afa naambia ati ameenda football tournament. He's like, Mercy, football. How? And then he talked me out of it, like, why do you want to play football? So for him, he didn't know I was doing this to please him, to like live kama. But then nikakuja nikajua nilikuwa najipea pressure hiyo hata iko kwa akili yake, by the way.
So
sometimes it's us who are giving ourselves this pressure.
That's true.
I like your dad.
He's he's overcompensating for
shouting.
Msamehe. Hapo ni decibels kidogo.
He tries.
Okay. I wanted to say, you also need to be very careful when it comes to living for your parents' expectations. You see, like you have a really good parent who they didn't place that expectation on you. Sometimes it's you who's placed that for yourself. But you also have to be very careful that there are parents who are narcissistic and therefore they're literally the way that abuse anyone else. They're abusing you. You know, there are people who are out here making people work for them. And you won't be surprised that there are parents who are out here making their children work for them. And please go and listen to last week's episode. We were talking about black tax. And I keep saying, takers have no limits. People who take have no limits. So be very keen when you're interacting with your parents.
They'll want you to be a certain way so that you can come bail them out.
And in cases where it's flipped, it's you who needs their help. In most cases where parents are abusing their children's relationship, it doesn't always, you can't rely on them the way they rely on you. So, yeah.
Hata mi I'm tired when your msichana amesema,
it's a lot. Haya. Hii mnaona, hii ni moja. Haya. But it should be the last one. Long? Yes.
There are 3, but one person.
Yes, it was one person.
I got a story for days. Sit back, relax.
But I felt like this was very, 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 very. It will affirm so many people, I think. So here we go. I am from your. I am from your TikTok. Silikuwa. Oh, ni wa TikTok. Oh, mmeanza kukuja kwa podcast. Love it. I am from your TikTok and just saw your prompt. The way I've been waiting for this topic. So my mom had bipolar, which went undiagnosed for more than 30 years. She got the diagnosis last year, and her actions started making sense last year. The manic episodes she had growing up, memory loss, multiple personalities. I was so glad she got the diagnosis, but mad she got it 3 decades later. Growing up with a parent that has an undiagnosed mental illness is one of the hardest things I had to do. From her being called crazy, dramatic, a pretender, attention seeker, and all those other names, for her being mocked and discriminated by her in-laws, being the topic of discussion in family WhatsApp groups. Hata sijui anacheka nini. I'm laughing emojis. Yeah, itabidi. Yani, we have seen it all. From my perspective as a child, I got so much trauma from her, which I have come to understand as an adult was not her fault. That still doesn't change how much hurt I went through and still go through as a child of a mom with mental illness. I have friends whose parents have mental illness and trauma, and hurt is a lot. What cuts across everyone I've met is that the way other family members and the society handled it before and after the diagnosis, pretty much the same. The patient is still always the problem and the cause of it. It really solidifies on how the stereotypical view on mental illness still exists and thrives till this day. There is also this aspect of being so scared to turn out as your parent because you've seen how bad it gets. And let's talk about the current state of our country's healthcare system in terms of mental health. It is so expensive to get a psychiatrist, a mental hospital, and drugs, especially for people outside Nairobi. The cost of getting consultation, admission, treatment, and medication is so expensive that it is not accessible to everyone. Also, because of the societal views on the mental illnesses and its patients, the patient would refuse treatment and not want a diagnosis. This is because of stigma, shame, and culture, etc. Now, as someone who has worked with an organization that deals with people who have mental illnesses, please extend grace, patience, love, and don't be judgmental. This is regardless of whether you are related to the person or not. Also, be careful as a caregiver of where you take your loved one for treatment and monitor. There is a lot of cases of patients being beaten, abused, both physically and mentally in the said mental institutions. Listen to them and please believe them when they tell you that the abuse is happening. I am sending love and light to every child who grew up with a parent with a mental illness, both diagnosed and undiagnosed. You are seen, valid, and I hope you heal. Love hearts.
Hadi naandika points nisisahau.
Nitakutumia. Haina jina.
Nasema hapa points.
That you want to speak on. Okay. Do you want to go?
Okay. I'd like to know how this mom ended up being diagnosed. What happened for them to be diagnosed? Is it that they had a manic episode and they didn't know what it was, and then she ended up being diagnosed? it's really hard. It was her who took herself there. It's really hard to grow up later on and then you're realizing probably this person had a mental illness. And the fact that people are even used to make fun of her and discuss her in groups, it means that it was a lot. And I can relate with that with my dad. People will talk, but I think at that point watu watasema huyo tu ni waya imeachana. Kuna
That's how
kitu
we say it.
hayuko
Yeah.
hayuko
He's
sawa.
not 100.
wanted to say that 100.
You're not 100. I've never really thought about it until we had that discussion, and it was because of coming to this episode. And then I was like, wait a minute, that man is not okay in the head. Well, they're mentally unwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, better words to use. Yeah, so he's mentally sick, and realizing that it's heavy.
It is.
It's heavy.
And it is a lot. What I said to her, but I don't know if it's the right thing. I said it is affirming. It creates some sort of closure.
It does.
Sometimes just having
that,
having an experience that you can't explain, and then living your whole life with that experience.
Like, why did she used to do this to me?
Yeah.
Did she hate me? Did she? Finally you can know she was bipolar.
It was, yeah.
Also, I'll say, I don't know. I think it's because where I am right now with my dad, I'm very detached. If I go that route, I'm going to blame myself. In that I am not understanding, I'm not there for him. As much as it gives closure to know that this man is not okay, I feel like he should be responsible to know that he's not okay. I believe when you're going through a manic episode, when you're in your right senses, you realize I wasn't okay. It is your responsibility as a parent when you're going through it. In ata ukwe mgonjwa aje, ata ukwe whatever manic episode you're gonna have, it's your responsibility as a parent to care for your child and protect them from harm.
Yeah.
I would like to know if people who go through who have mental health issues, whether they realize later on.
If they are conscious
If
at
they are
some
conscious
point.
at some point.
Because
I believe this man, I believe he thinks about it, and I know he knows. It's just that he chooses to ignore it. And I'm speaking that from a point of, after my separation, I wasn't okay. Even when you guys were when we were talking about anger, I used to, because I had so much anger, I used to close myself in the room. Because if this child does anything that will upset me, nitakuwa kwa hiyo situation where you are talking and you're like, utatolea mtoto. When I have anxiety, I will rather keep to myself, because I know if anything was to happen again, it's gonna be this child. I believe and I know for a fact, unless proven otherwise and wrong, medically proven wrong, that they do not realize later on what they did.
I think from the knowledge that I have from the mental health episode where we had Mercure, when he described the manic and the depressive episodes, it's as if they do recognize. They do know that I'm going through. But I think for them it's different. For someone like him, it's different because he has the knowledge. He knows what mental health is. He knows what condition he has. He knows what the symptoms are. But I'm thinking for like our older parents, they probably do not know. And even if they look back, you see, like for the way you're saying for your dad, even if he looks back and he sees that particular experience, what he did, he looks back. But since they are conscious and they know, for them, they don't know any better. They don't know what this could be, bipolar or whatever. So they choose to protect their reputation. So that's where they go wrong. And here is what I don't know if you had last week's episode last week episode was on black tax, and I said, I still stand by it. I said, there is nothing children owe parents.
Yeah.
I feel like parenthood
100.
is one way.
Yeah.
Even if you're in this episode and you're going through it and whatever, I don't owe you support. I can do it out of the willingness of my heart, but I don't owe it to you. So even in your case, you're not going to pull your dad, even kama hajui, you're not going to introduce him into your life to compromise on your mental health, your child's mental health, your community's mental health at the expense of one person. He should be responsible for you. You shouldn't be responsible for him. Parenthood doesn't work the other way around. It's not two-way. I genuinely believe
kids to this earth.
yes, parents owe kids. Kids will never owe parents.
And what pisses me off, it's that they go through these manic episodes, they are aware of what they're doing, and they see how this is affecting you. And they don't really, even if he goes right now and he's diagnosed, he's already done the damage. The damage is already there.
And
Also, I think there's the aspect of shame. You mentioned about reputation. Maybe at that time they knew something is not right, but you are ashamed of being called like hauko sawa.
yes,
At least now that we are aware of mental health, we are trying to, like, people know it's a disease. Haujajiletea ama hauko ati like it's a disease. But there was the shame and stigma attached to it, and you want to force yourself to be okay.
yes.
But now in this ya kujiforce, I mean, niko sawa like everyone else. Now you're bleeding on your children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Mimi, I don't have grace
it is okay to run out of it.
for these baby boomers who've gone through it.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that they've done,
Yeah. Unforgivable.
Damage that can never be like repaired, or you have to struggle to repair it now yourself.
now that I've done the work and I'm still doing the work and I'm just realizing things and I'm healing pole pole, and I come for this podcast, which is my therapy.
072 inakwanga kwa intro na outro.
Mtume pesa.
Therapy. Nafanya therapy pro bono.
I have steered away and from this man. I have gotten to a point where I do not recognize him as my parent. I wish there is a place where we would go wenye una divorce bwanako unasemekana ama
kama vile maju, there's the emancipation.
Yes, I wish I could do that. Nimtoe kwa birth certificate as old as I am right now in my 30s. Nikange hivi niseme
I fell from the sky.
yes. Ulikujaje? Nilinunuliwa kwa supermarket.
Yeah.
Cause me, I don't have grace. I've done so much work on myself, and every time these people keep proving you wrong, every other time you give them, I believe every person who's gone through a parent who has treated them a certain way because of mental health, they've given them the grace to some extent where they're like, ni sawa, tunaambiwangu hata akianguka amelewa kwa mtaro bado ni baba yako. You get to that point where you're trying to mend this relationship, but if it hurts you mentally, physically and emotionally, just stay clear of
Life is already so
Yeah. Me, I think for parents, I'm very keen. For like you guys, I'm very keen because I keep reminding parents that you are responsible for another life. Kata kuchukua extra responsibilities. You are already responsible for another life. And there is this time when I went to an atheists convention.
ulienda wapi?
Kupigia hiyo story. A convention where atheists were meeting.
I have so many
atheists were meeting. And so there's this one. This is the person who like brought me into agnosticism. So I was seated with them, and I was just seated with him, and I was talking, and he was like, there's the basis for how atheists say a lot of the things that you see wrong in the world, mostly the foundation is religion.
True.
And so this person was telling me, just because you've met an atheist does not mean that an atheist is now a good person.
True.
And the same thing I think Mary Liz also said at some point. We've seen so much hate coming from heterosexuals that you think the homosexuals you've met are really, they're easy, they're nice people. Yeah. But it doesn't mean just because someone is homosexual, they're good.
They're good, yeah.
Now, here is the thing that applies again to this. At the end of the day, innately, we are human. Just because someone has a mental health issue does not mean that beneath they are good people and it's this mental health that's the problem.
That's true.
You could have someone with a condition and they're genuinely a bad person.
A bad person, yeah.
So
it amplifies.
So at the end of the day, even if we are dealing with this, you're bipolar. Even if we are dealing with this, you're ndani. Inaweza kuwa ni mtu mbaya ama ni mtu mzuri. Watu wazuri, we see they can process guilt and they're like, I need to do better for the people
and
around me.
And they would even apologize after this episode. And like, I don't know what was happening to me. Sijui nilifanya, but I'm sorry. But a bad person will just be like, okay, it happens.
It happens. It's my nini. Sometimes it happens to me. Yeah.
I think, mumeongea, mi nafikiria tu hapa. I think my dad, things stemmed from childhood. Because the stories he gives of my show is that she was a very walikuwa wana big of, but I think she had bitterness and alikuwa na stress, anatolea watoto wake, alafu akakuwa. Now when my mom passed away, something triggered him. After there is a time I went to stay with my show, I looked at her, I was like, hey, and I'm named after her. Power of naming people. Hey, do not name your kids after people when mnaona wako na kasoro, tafadhali. In fact, just give them their own names for their own personality.
Yeah.
Nikaambia Mungu, mimi na huyu mama.
I think in this case of the lady who just said her mom was diagnosed with bipolar.
Yeah.
Apart from seeking therapy for her mom, she should also seek therapy for herself. For the things she went through, for the things she was put through. Even as she says, the way society treated her mom so differently, and it must have also affected her.
Well, that's heavy. Yeah. She said something about the way society treats people who have mental illness. And the way some places are not good. Na mimi nitasema na nitaita jina. Mathare Hospital is bad. It's the only place where people who can't afford therapy can go. I'll actually share with you a list of, I hope ni bookmark, a list of places guys can go seek therapy for free.
Oh, okay,
yes, if they don't have cash.
I also have one. There's a friend, we went to school with him, I think you know him, Bright. Also started this organization where, like, depends with how, kama una afford to pay 5K for therapy, you can pay. If you feel like you cannot, like, enye mimi niko tu na 500 and I need this therapy, and they'll give you quality therapy.
That's really good. And also, there's something she said, apart from therapy I've seen is now a bit more accessible. There's even self-therapy, there's journaling. There's also the now psychiatrists, which I don't think are as easily accessible as therapy.
Psychiatrists ndo wenye wanatibu mental illness.
Psychiatrist is the one who can diagnose. Prescribe.
Therapy, tunaenda kuongea. Unpack.
But it's a therapist who will refer you to a psychiatrist. Yeah. So in the cases of, like, you see, it's bipolar. It's a therapist who will now send you to a psychiatrist. And maybe the psychiatrist, and she said drugs as well, they are not cheap. So not. Maybe that's just that industry, mental health industry.
It's crazy.
Over time, I hope we develop it and it's more accessible. Kwanza amesema outside Nairobi, that's something that came up
by the way,
during the mental health episode. Nairobi ndio tuko hapa ati sijui Chiromo, sijui wapi. People have
Nairobi
options.
Have access to a lot of things that watu mashinani hawana.
I have a friend who has bipolar. and man, was it bad. Because he was taken, there was a lot of that society shaming. The only person who was there for him was my ex. Nakumbuka akipigiwa simu akiambiwa endea so and so ametushinda, amekuwa manic hapa Kenyatta na walikuwa na akaenda kumchukua, but the guy doesn't want to panda the car. Anataka kutembea. He walked all the way from Kenyatta to home. Uko karibu na Pangani. And that's when I had my first now real, wacha na babangu yo atuka tunajua saizo. That's when I had my first real experience of someone who has been diagnosed with mental illness. And I remember he went to Mathare and we are going and seeing him the conditions amewekwa hapo he's living in, and they were horrible. They were just bad. These guys are beaten. And then mnaekwa nyinyi wote pamoja. Unaekwa na mtu mwenye zake zime enda completely.
No, but that's everywhere. Because even Makiwa was saying when he was institutionalized, unapata kuna mse unadhani uko na bipolar. Kuna yako sijui ni level 1. Kuna you guys please go watch the episode. It's so good.
I also had some institutions that they are abused like sexually.
Yes, it's wild.
Yeah.
And also it's mental month.
Oh, it's mental
mental awareness month. So having this conversation
this was really good.
Is really good.
I think also as parents, maybe moving away from our parents, we as millennial Gen Z parents, we need to be much more conscious about our mental health. Just like you said, ukiona something is taxing you too much, like separate yourself from it. It took me some time I used to be that kid mwenye yako all over family, like family groups. Mimi ndo najua cousins wote, aunties wote, like so kila time they'll be reaching out to you. Ukanambia nani unisaidie, ama just any group, any function that comes up at home. Mimi ni huyo mbele mbele.
You're those people who like gels the
exactly.
entire family.
In school, like in camp, we were roommates with friends. I was all kuna salsa, kuna nini, like I was all over, like I was just So now when I became a parent, and then we separated with my baby daddy. So being a single parent, that's something like a whole topic.
That's
mental issues. Because now you don't have someone that you to bounce things on. Kumbuka you're a first time mom as well. Like you don't know everything. So you're there like you have to handle everything on your own. And then nikasema all this time, the people who noticed that nimepotea tu like kwa mtandao siko suddenly, like I'm not all over the place like I used to be. But like 2 of my friends and maybe 1 or 2 of my cousins. And then the rest like
no one.
But then when it comes to those things zenye wanakuhitaji kuwe hands on, they will look for you. And this is why I said I have to prioritize my mental health. I was told, skuizi umekuwa so detached from my family, I just said it's okay. Because no one knew I was going through it at that time. The people who reached out because enye tume notice squeezy umepotea sana. 2 of my best friends, shout out Dora and Cindy, how do I reach out, and then like and then this time like I took time to say mental health is something important because nilikuwa naenda kuchizi. I used to cry a lot. I used to feel so overwhelmed, like you don't know what you're doing. Your emotions are all over the place. I'm struggling financially. He was like 1 year hapo hivyo. I'm struggling financially, like everything is on your head. And then at this time, I remember there's a quote you said, a parent is only as happy as their happiest kid. So here, niko peke yangu. So I feel like ni call my dad nimwambie hizi shida zangu zote. It will like, ata feel, so I'm not even like in that space of sharing with him. When I got out of that hole, that dark hole I was in, nilisema I will prioritize my mental health. And then I also learned the art of separating Mercy as a mom and Mercy as a person.
Very important.
That's one thing that, yes, tunakuanga na hiyo pressure ya, because I'm a mom, like nitaonekana mimi ni mbaya nikienda out, nitaonekana mimi ni mbaya. No, take time
you are
for
first
yourself.
human before you are a mother,
before you are a mom.
Live your life.
So the first 2 years of my baby's life nilikuwa na hiyo attachment, like it took a while for me kuacha my house help, like ashike mtoto, like I'd rather she does all the other housework. So mtoto analia, akona colic, akona nini, like I wanted to be like that handsome mom.
I am the one.
Do you feel like you were going through postpartum depression?
I feel like mildly, I feel like I was. But your times kwa najua nilikuwa nasema no, I cannot be going through depression. It's just a little stress. But then my friends, when nakwambia they really came through, they would call me every evening. Imagine someone taking like an hour of their time to call me. I couldn't afford therapy that time, and I was broke. I had not envisioned my life like this. That's where that quote of let go of the person you thought you want to be and just be you. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I had this idea of like the perfect union marriage, and that is what I had for myself. Like sikuwa nimejua I'll end up being a single mom. So this was also eating me up mentally. Like, how did I get here? Why did I allow myself to be here?
You're beating yourself up.
You're beating yourself up, and you're like, so my only hope is my kid here, and I have to try and be the best mom because everything else is not working out. I used to hate my job at that time, so it's not working for me. Pesa hakuna, it's not working for me. Like everything else is not working except you being a mom.
I think that's a very I would probably relate it to postpartum depression is because I feel I've seen other parents who felt like, and they are very defensive. You get very defensive. I'm a good mother. I'm a good parent. I am available. And that's because everything else is failing. I can't fail at the one thing that even the society says I should be able to manage. Like, kukua mama, mtoto ni wako. It's your own blood and flesh. This came out of me. How can I not? And
I think the people around me were noticing more than I was. For me, it felt like it's normal. That's one thing, by the way, that's why nilikuwa naona tu ni stress ya kukua first time mom. So it's normal. But there's a time I got sick, my son got sick, even my dad, like he traveled all the way, said, both of you are sick? No, there must be something wrong. I'm coming. I told him usiku, in the morning he drove akafika. But he was, tell me what's going on. He just came to, we had a chat, he went away, but I still couldn't open up about what I was going through. So I think like when my baby was around 1.5, almost 2, that's when my friend was like, you have to get out of this house. Unakwanga mtu outgoing. Like nowadays it's work, home, home. Like this is not you. I'm like, me hata sina pesa ya kutoka. I will pay for everything we are going out. And then kidogo just, one step at a time, I started separating the two, like Mercy and Mercy the mom and Mercy the person. And then I think where I am right now, I'm at a good place, to the point that I think there's a time I usually post a lot on social media, and then there's someone who tells me, "Na wewe unaonanga mtoto wako siku gani? You must be a bad mom." Like I only post the sides of me you want me to see, of me going out, nimeenda sijui wapi, but I kuniuma. I was so happy.
You were just like, I didn't feel.
Like, he's now 4. Because I know there's hizo times you have to do school pickup, school drop off. So mimi nikasema Monday to Friday dedication yangu on Friday night, please. That is checking out. And I think it would be easier when you're 2 parents, because mnaweza check out in turn. This weekend we have to check out. True. But when you have to do all this balancing by yourself, and I think sometimes it's mentally draining to a point, and if you do not choose to take care of yourself, by the time you realize you're depressed, it's like it's too late. It's way too late. So I think, and if accepting help is not a bad thing, that's one thing people struggle with. Like, ukiona kama umesaidiwa, it means you failed. You have not failed. Just accept as much help as you can get in whatever front of your life. Usiseme ati mi here ati ndio mwende mnicheke, mwende mniseme. They will say, and then what will they take an ounce of your
and even if you don't refuse the help, we'll still talk. Sasa utagua.
So for me, like when my dad offered every school break, you have to bring him
Yeah.
Said, hey, bless your soul.
Funga virago. Shika.
So I think also accepting help is something I've noticed. Most of my friends who are parents find it hard. Wanaona nika wana burden the other person.
Oh, yeah.
Or it makes them feel like they are weak, or they are not a good parent for accepting help.
Yes.
But no, by accepting help, you as you're brave, you're courage, because it's something so hard for mtu ku relinquish
parenting to someone else.
Yeah, so accept as much help as you can accept, especially if you're a new mom. Hapo wale wenye hiyo postpartum during your 0 to 6 months, just accept the help that you're offered. Yeah.
My experience with postpartum depression, one, I'll say men go through it as well. It's really bad, and I think we ignore that point, because I went through postpartum depression with my partner, and his was also bad.
Can they come and speak?
We went through.
Can they come and speak for themselves? Because
they don't even. I think it's not communicated a lot, and that's
I've never
one
understood
thing.
it by the way. I just know that they too go through it, but
They go through it, and for them, I think also it comes from a societal point. With postpartum depression, there are two sides to look at it. There's the point of, this is what the society expects of me as a mom. So everyone is giving you and dishing out advice. You're supposed to do nini, and that's the point where now they show you're not being a good mom, because why aren't you doing this and I did this for you? Why aren't you doing 1, 2, 3 things? So that ends up affecting you. And will affect even the way you are towards your child. Yeah. And there's also the point of I don't have milk, I don't want to have 1, 2, 3 things. Sina imaziwa. So again, stress.
Yes,
I'm also a breastfeeding consultant.
Plug, shameless.
And one thing I've realized in my profession as I'm consulting, my approach is very different in that my consultations are very therapeutic. I sit down with my clients so that I can understand. Most of the time they want to get someone to talk to who can understand them. And most of the time utapata, ni hii stress inamfanya hakuna maziwa, because they're going through postpartum depression, and it's not talked about a lot. May got to the point where I used to cry. My daughter cries, we cry together. And I didn't have that support. Nowadays we don't have that community support that our parents had growing up, where wako like you wacha tukuje tukae mtu akusaidia.
People will come in turns.
Ni wewe unapambana na mtoto wako peke yako. Uko social media, you're seeing moms are doing certain things. Your partner has 2 weeks paternity leave. You need help. Yani it's just wild. And what I'll say, if for a mom who's going through postpartum depression, they should just find someone to talk to, because it can get to be chronic. And we've seen cases of where moms go manic and they do crazy things on their kids, and they kill their kids. And it's because of postpartum depression. So that's why my approach is more of let's handle what you're going through first, and then we'll work on the rest later, because it affects a lot. But for me, I think yangu iliisha mtoto akiwa 2 years, and then I had 2 years to go forget that I am a mom. I had a house help. I don't remember my daughter for those 2 years. Juu mimi nilikuwa, please, I had gone through it. I was like, Mimi, I'm doing me.
The good thing about getting out of that hole is that it makes you learn that I'm a person too.
You are.
Like inakufanya ukue carefree.
And one thing I tell my moms is that I tell them, before you had this child, you are you as a person. Yeah. Before you got married, you are you as a person. You're not a bad mom for letting your nanny take your child. You're not a bad mom for pumping milk and getting someone to feed your child.
The number of things women get shamed for. And you can't pump milk.
Ati you can't pump milk. Ati mtoto ati ni venye nikuwa nasema ati mtoto akilia sana ni mama peke yake anaweza mchukua. You can't give your child to someone else. And one thing is that society moms haven't gone through training. Yes, you will go for prenatal care in the classes, but no one tells you that between this week and this week, your child is gonna have chronic. Inaitwa colic, mtoto wako atakuwa na colic, and they're going to be fussy, they're going to cry, watakuwa na growth spurt this weeks na this weeks. Na saa hizo mtoto wako analia, wewe unafikiria, oh my god, ni kwa sababu sina maziwa, kwa sababu I'm being a bad mom. Ati unapatia mtoto wako kwa mtu mwingine akusaidia kumshika. You're being a bad mom. No, not being a bad mom. It's because your child is developing. That's why they are behaving the way they are behaving, or they're crying the way they are crying.
Can you run a masterclass for that?
I can. I actually do have a class that I offer on a monthly basis. Yeah, where I just teach about breastfeeding. But I think now I'm gonna do one for PPD.
Yeah. I think it's really important. It's also something that we noticed where I work. I work at Jacaranda Maternity, and we noticed after delivery, the mom goes home. And then how many of these moms are actually mentally well?
Not.
So we also decided to start up something for postpartum. I think we could probably work together. Because it's not, out of 20 moms who will be discharged. Quite a huge number will go through, even if not postpartum depression. They're overwhelmed.
It's a lot.
Where does your partner come in to support in these moments? Where are the partners?
Actually, during my consultations, I insist most of the time, if the husband is available, the partner should be there as well.
And you'll find most of these events or these support groups, whatever we have for moms, either expectant or after, only 2 will show up with their spouses or partners. But I think if new moms got more support, it would be a lot easier. For me, I think I had so little support because when they unafa wash mtoto, your time you don't know the codes, I've never done this before. It's my first time. How am I supposed to dress this kid? If you're two people when you have mjui pamoja, you're mtabatisha pamoja. Okay, let's try this. Is he crying too much? You'll give each other ideas. But now when you're but when you're alone, it becomes even harder.
It's really hard.
So I think for people who are together, I think that support to your partner is very important. And if you are alone, just seek a birth partner, a support partner, someone,
even a friend.
The support partner could be a friend, a sister. It's pretty much anyone you trust to help you in that process, because I think that's one of the leading causes of postpartum depression.
It is, because imagine your child has been awake all night, breastfeeding. You're tired. In the morning, you have to wake up, take care of yourself, take care of your child. When I talk to clients, and it's something I resonate with, is you do not have time for yourself. If you do not have a supportive person, you will not have time for yourself. Utakula sangapi, utalala sangapi. Unaambiwa sleep when the baby sleeps.
Oh, Mona, you're mimi asleep when the baby sleeps.
When am I supposed to go shower? When am I? It's quite understandable.
That statement personally, I used to sleep. I kilala hivi.
It's hard. It's
a lot.
It's really
so
hard.
And
we've to may dilute sana hii mambo. Postpartum depression. We've diluted it as a society.
And then people expect maternal instincts.
We were told a lot of we were told that motherhood would solve everything. You have cramps.
Doesn't.
Itaisha ukiza.
Itaisha,
You don't
God,
like
it's a
children.
lie. Still
You
have
like your
cramps,
own. You don't. Do you want to? You ukiza ita. You have fibroids. Ukiza itaisha.
Itaisha.
Everything
Bad.
would
It
be
was connected.
cured by motherhood. Okay. So we don't see why postpartum can't be cured by motherhood.
And there are people who live with postpartum depression for up to
longer
5 years or even life, like even longer. It doesn't end after a year or 2 years. It's bad. It's longer. Maybe that's why some mothers were bitter with us, because they were going through postpartum depression. And at that time, no one knew what this was. Ni kawaida mtoto kulia 3 first months utalala just huko hivyo usijali gojea 1 year, after 1 year utakuwa poa. Hey, doesn't get better.
And then there's this feeling that used to come for me, the first 3 months, you don't know why you're crying or why you're sad.
You don't know
why. I just experienced a joyful moment. For me, growing up, maybe I always wanted kids. So I'm so excited I have a kid. My first 2 days in hospital were, oh my God, I was over the moon. And then I'm back home. I can't explain why am I crying? Why am I feeling sad? The baby is sleeping. I can't say ati mtoto ananisumbua at this moment. Why am I crying? I'm supposed to be sleeping or watching a movie or doing something. But at that moment, you don't understand. Then, of course, you Google and then you say, it's baby blues.
Itaisha.
It's baby
It's
blues,
bad.
yeah. Take a stroll, get fresh air, talk to people. Kitu sad inakuja when you're that person who is either an introvert, ama tupendi kuongea na watu, ama because you'll see calls and you'll ignore them. And then now it gets worse.
Mine was, but sikuwa hata na maziwa guy, and then so you're trying to compete with moms in these groups. The way they are pumping milk and posting on their freezer imejaa maziwa, full pack freezer ni maziwa peke yake. Wewe uko hapo umengangana. I was so stressed, and because of postpartum depression, it cuts your milk. So hauna hata maziwa. It was just bad.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
You want water?
I'm fine now.
And that's what got me into breastfeeding, to become a breastfeeding consultant, because I understand how this thing is.
Alafu, I think maybe finally it's the pressure we let people put on us.
Society.
Social media hiyo umeshaona watu wamepam, sijui ameni wewe mtapam.
Mtu anakuambia nimetoa 200 habu,
but you know
My 200 nini
200 meals. Wewe struggle kwa
50 ama 10. Unajua 10 ile 10 ml ni kitu moja kudawa dawa. Hizi vitu. Hey,
the time Kate actress did this funny skit when Kiare walikuwa wanahanda the content creators. And she was like, now when you go to a hotel, you have to dress up, you have to do it. So she's telling Kiare, it would be like what to present. Ndo watu wa like, aki kwa ground atuna vitu. So I think before we pressurize ourselves too much, we should remember, hata kama those who have that life, we only show to the world what you want the world to see. You do not show them every single bit about yourself. There are some people who show their downsides. Again, you'll only show what you want,
what you're comfortable
to show. So before you get this much pressure, jua in their world, or pia kuna kitu yenye hakuonyeshi yenye maybe wewe uko nayo in abundance, you're happy about it nini, but because wewe maybe you don't post, ama you're just not the person who prefer a private life. So wewe haujui in your private life there's something you have yenye huyo mtu mwingine mwenye hana so I think pressure, social media is also something that really causes us to be depressed and have mental issues.
And social media creates an illusion. People need to realize social media creates an illusion.
True.
You see, a lot of people tell me, oh, you cook a lot, you like to cook. I keep telling people, I cook once a week. Post ya kupika ni once
I was telling a friend,
Na hiyo ni content.
Ni content. Don't you realize I'm
content.
cooking once a
Speaking of
week?
that, I told a friend I'm coming to your podcast, and she was like, who's Olive? So I started explaining her. Ule mwenye upika TikTok.
Yes.
So it was like, it's a thing.
So I tell people, it gives you an illusion. I cook once. So unaona mtu hata Mercy wakisema you've gone out, I can tell how many posts zako zenye nimeona umepost uko reels. And I'm just like, Mercy goes out once a week, but it's just like mtoto wako, it's like we have a day a week. There's 7 days in a week.
But someone will make it look like
every day you are out. Social media creates an
It's
illusion.
like me
and then
my
something
alcohol.
else I like, you'll take like and it's like a what?
Me and my alcohol. People are like, hey, you
drink a lot, but you post once.
Guys,
And
me
then
only
unajua,
drink on
unaweza enda out
Sunday
on
weekends.
your weekend and then you take 20 videos or photos.
Yes.
Alafu siku ya kupost, like from nowhere to decide utapost picture like 2 months.
Ama you think about it.
Ama you think about it. Ama you nostalgic or
Yeah.
something. Sasa in someone's mind, jana si aliposta
Jana,
leo
jana.
tena. Kesho tena.
Huyo madam.
Relax, guys.
I just like how
Yeah. Some social media content creators are creating content in bulk. Please learn about the psychology of some systems before you come here and give yourself high blood pressure. Okay, that should bring us to the end. But I think what we've agreed on is a lot of culture change. We need to work on breaking a lot of cycles. I just feel like, first of all, you guys are doing a good job. I must congratulate every single parent that I know who's around my age. Nimewaona, and mi najua mi siwezi. Ninajua siwezi. Nitazani waletea huyo mtoto. So, good job, and thank you so much for coming. I feel like it was a good episode. I feel like we've discussed quite a number. And until next week, this has been the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is OLAVEORAWO. Bye.
Next on the In All Honesty podcast.
Hey, let's close down this family business with a hot topic. I think next week I'll just bring wine because single parents, I know the parenting scene is not looking easy, but I'd like us to have a discussion what single parenthood looks like, what are the challenges, what are the wins. It's not always a downside. And please, if you know a man who is a single parent and they are comfortable to come on the podcast and talk about their experience, please tell them OLAVEORAWO is asking that they come to the podcast so that we can get the perspective of single parents who are male, that is single fathers. We only know of single mothers, and so that's the discussion we'll be having next week. Please share your opinions and your stories if you would like to be part of the discussion, and you can always reach me via DM at OLAVEORAWO, and you can also send in your story through my email at olaveorawo@gmail.com. Bye.
Do you hear that? Would you lend me some coins, please? The In All Honesty podcast needs you to continue running. I will deeply appreciate support from you. You can send monetary contributions to my Mpesa +254 728 171 059 via PayPal at OLAVEORAWO. That is OLAVEORAWO. You can support the podcast indirectly by buying merchandise and services I offer listed on my WhatsApp catalog. My WhatsApp number is +254 728 171 059. Did you think I'd forget? Advertise with the In All Honesty podcast. Hit me up to talk about it. You can do that via WhatsApp +254 728 171 059 or via email OLAVEORAWO@gmail.com, or you can also DM me on socials at OLAVEORAWO. You know the hand that gives will receive an episode every week. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.